Hey everyone, just give me a moment or two. I have to bring up someone else's account in order to be able to basically show the receipts. Shouldn't take more than a minute to 20 minutes, knowing me, but we started within 5 minutes, so this is already a pretty atypical call for this server. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Okay. Okay. Right now, what are you guys hearing? It's a bit of an echo, isn't there? Let me see if I can fix this. Okay, I think that may be it. How about now? Can you guys hear an echo now? I'll keep talking a little bit. All right, seems like no echo. All right, great. So, a reminder to the mods that, the purpose of you guys today is to make sure people in the comments are remaining good faith, that they're absolutely not, no dogpiling, no one, if anyone in the server is name calling or I don't know, taking out beef some people due to what other people have done. Time out, time them out, even if they're a member of this server. But basically, a member of any server that is shown to be engaging in basically bad faith behavior. We're all adults, and I'd like to think we all know what that means. Everyone just sort of ask questions, talk, challenge. Feel free to do those things, but let's not squabble in the comments. So the purpose of this live, oh no, okay. So if you have no audio, we'll stop for a moment. Mods, there's a way to get around that. There's one of you guys who like to post screenshots to show it how to do it. I'm not going to get replies, by the way, so don't worry about that. So I think what you want to do is you want to basically put your finger on the PFP, the Irish PFP. And when you put your finger on it, options will pop up. And those options are going to include obviously volume and such. Okay. Also, yeah, updating Discord would probably be a smart idea. I'm going to start in exactly 2 minutes. So you have definitely enough time to be able to do that. Is the audio okay or is the audio good? I know those seem synonymous, but audio is great. Oh, shocking. Okay. Got it. Okay. So I'll basically start off with a overview of what I want to do today. I'm going to talk for maybe, I said I was going to talk for 30 to 45 minutes, it may be 20 to 30 minutes, to be honest with you. If after 20 to 30 minutes I finish on up, uh, if Kenzie's here, she can join. If she's not, I'm just going to end the call at that point. But I wanted a opportunity to be able to address a personal issue and an issue that pertains to this server. And even though I ordinarily do a tremendous number of receipts, I think that probably over the course of 3 years, that's led to dehumanizing me and people not actually paying attention to what it is I'm saying instead of what it is I'm showing. So I'm going to keep this surprisingly brief. I think I'm here today because I started on TikTok in order to be able to do some sort of good. Didn't know what it was going to be. Had no idea what it would look like. Had no idea what it would grow into whatsoever. I bounced around from different areas. Finally found an area that I felt pretty comfortable in. And for the past 3 years, I've been pretty much focused on doing the same thing, and that is rape culture lives. And that would be the primary thrust of the lives that I do in TikTok. And then obviously on the side, I think a lot of people know that I help a lot of people who come to me personally. And that's usually SA victims or people who found Petridios, who want advice and or help getting arrested. And I do that sort of stuff off TikTok. Sometimes it's called out on TikTok if people are involved in TikTok. And people in here in the server help do that. And I think everyone in here knows what the past 3 years have been like. It's been horrible. It's been genuinely horrible. We have reported multiple pedophiles in the past 3 years. We've helped multiple women report to the police, filed multiple police reports with them. We've, I think, combated a lot of really horribly disgusting people and chased them off the app. We've exposed others. We've done what seems to be something of value, but it's been completely, I think, frankly, counterbalanced by a tremendous amount of abuse that comes as a result of this, because I think everyone's seen the pattern. For every single bad person we call out, we develop a new enemy that joins the old enemies. And it's a tale as old as time. When we first started in season 1, we had our OG cast, quickly popped up to season 4. Now we're on season 17. And with each season, we just kind of have the new villain. And that new villain does the exact same playbook. We call them out, and we don't usually go after people who are just kind of bad. We go after people who are just fucking horrible. And those people have no shame. And as a result of that, they don't do what is the simplest thing in the world to do, which is to say, I fucked up, my bad, I'm sorry. And instead, they become contortionists. And they bend, and they bounce, and they run, and they do anything they can possibly do other than say, I'm a human and I messed up. And in their desperation to avoid looking like a human who makes mistakes, they engage in inhuman acts where they hurt not just themselves in the long run, but lots of collateral damage in order to save their own skin. And it's pathetic. It's so selfish. It's incredibly cruel, but it's predictable. Every bad person we call out has done the same thing. They deny what happens. They have the information put out there. When the information is put out there, they don't address the information. They don't address the allegation, and instead they deflect and they point fingers at 1,000 other things. And they say, but what about this? What about this? What about this? Or they say, fuck that guy. He's an asshole. Nobody likes him. So why do we care what it is he says? Who's he to judge me? They say the same stupid shit. And we respond with the same stupid shit. I could be the devil, but if you're a bad person, you're still a bad person. If I'm a bad person calling out a bad person, my badness doesn't make you good by comparison. It just means we're two fucking horrible people. And I've never cared about the fact that I have this reputation of being a horrible person. It's something I actually would have no problem carrying ordinarily. The problem I have is that when we call out these bad people, they get away with it because everyone is so thirsty to take me down that they forgive what the other person is doing. And to whoever's listening, I'm going to start with this. I'm deeply imperfect. I am deeply flawed. I am not a leader. I'm not someone to look up to. I've probably made more mistakes in my lifetime than you could make in multiple lifetimes. You don't have to waste your time proving that no one should give a shit about me. Trust me, nobody does. If you'd like me to list out a list of things I've done, if you'd like to tell me things you want me to say I've done, go ahead. I've got no problem admitting to them or telling you whatever it is you want. because I don't care what you think of me. The only reason I care what you think of me is to the extent it allows the other bad person get away. So everyone on this call, I want you to assume every rumor you've ever heard about me is true, and I own it. Now, let's move on to the bad person, the fellow bad person. And we've got two of them. That's Miss Kenzie and Brussels. One of them a surprise. One of them has been a ticking time bomb for over a year that I've been waiting to see explode. Now, I made the mistake, apparently, of trying to attribute motives for each of them, trying to figure out why it is they were doing what they were doing. But frankly, the why doesn't matter. That was my best guess. That's all that was. What matters to me is what it is they did. And here's what it is they did. In around about March, maybe around March, you all remember the Harry Sisson scandal happened. As a result of the Harry Sisson scandal, I connected with two of the women who were impacted, and that was Carly and that was Sarah. And I don't remember. I really don't. I don't remember who put me in contact. I know I don't go out finding these people. They come to me. But I ended up finding out about them, and I ended up being asked to help. And in so doing, I met with those two people. I talked to them about their concerns at depth. I talked to them what it is they wanted. I made sure I had a firm understanding of what their needs were. I had a firm understanding of what their concerns were. I had a firm understanding of who they were as people, because I've been through this process so many times. I know how damaging it is. And when I took all of that together, I realized I'm not the right person to do this by myself. And that's why I went to Alina. And Alina was kind enough to lend us her platform. So many of you attacked her for that. I want you to remember that. A lot of you attacked Alina for allowing us to use her space. And it was that live that actually, I think, turned the sort of momentum that was happening with these women. Because that's where I think people started realizing they understood what the story was. They weren't no longer being told half stories. People walked away from that live and they understood the stakes, and people started to care. And again, a horrible thing about TikTok is you all wasted your time bullying Alina for doing a good thing just due to her association with me. But that live was a success. Now, as a result of that live, I got to know Sarah and Carly well. And following that live, and during that live period, as I was leading up to the Alina live, it takes weeks to be able to build these stories. It takes weeks to be able to do lives in general. And so as I was prepping for that, I was also doing lives on the side where I'm talking about the Harry issue, but I'm not really saying that I'm working with anyone. I'm not really saying that I'm representing any of the people who are involved. I'm not really saying what the purpose of or what, whether or not there's a goal attached. Usually those are tester lives for me. I'm usually seeing what is it people are saying, where are they getting hangups. That's helping me understand where people are getting stuck on the stories. During one of those tester lives where I'm already engaged with Sarah and Carly, I end up bringing up a former friend of mine who I don't have to name. She joined. I'll just call them Person X for now. Person X joined, and Kenzie joined. And during this discussion regarding Harry and the people who Harry has hurt, Person X said some things that, in my estimation, were victim blamey. Whether or not they meant it didn't really matter, but they were victim blamey statements. And I interrupted Person X multiple times and said, tried to steer them around, tried to steer them away from the victim blaming statements they were making. And I tried this multiple times. I corrected them multiple times, and they would not take the direction. And finally, after 4, 5 times, I really don't remember, they wouldn't stop, and I had to drop them. And that was the first time I'd ever dropped that person. They and I had had a long-term friendship, and it ended on that day because I dropped them. Now, I didn't drop them in a bad way. I was actually very nice to them. If anything, I was overly nice. But they didn't like that I dropped them from my own platform. Okay, whatever. I can live with that. Kenzie remains on the live. And after I've dropped this person, after interrupting them multiple times saying, I think you're engaging in victim blaming rhetoric, please stop. I can't have it on this platform. Please stop. After I've dropped them, Kenzie joins. And almost the first thing out of her mouth is, I agree with Atlantic on some points. Now, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, why would you do that? You just saw me argue with someone who's a good friend, arguably a better friend to me than Kenzie was at the time. You saw me argue with that person, telling them to stop it. This is a community that caters towards SA victims. I don't want that rhetoric on my live. And what ended up happening was this person Kenzie came up and said, I agree with Atlantic on some of those points. Now, I didn't get angry. I didn't get mad. I went into, host mode and tried to steer the conversation back. Kenzie then characterized what was happening, and in so doing, said a couple of trigger words, in my opinion, that when we're talking about certain thing like Harry, I wouldn't talk about looking for red flags. Now, I said, or I'll get to this in a moment, do I think that person was intending to be victim blaming? No, I don't. I don't think Kenzie wanted to be victim blaming. I think that not at all. I think that Kenzie was doing what she ordinarily does. She intellectualized what was happening. She didn't for a moment think about the fact that real people were involved. She didn't for a moment think about the fact that some of those people could be watching right now. She didn't for a moment think about me. She didn't for a moment think about my wishes for what I'm saying on the live. Instead, something that Atlantic said, got stuck in her head, and she was like, I want to make this point. And it's Kenzie, so she's going to make that point. So she proceeded to try to make this point, which, if we were on a theoretical topic, wouldn't have been problematic, or probably wouldn't have been problematic. And had we been on a different day, probably wouldn't have been problematic. Certainly, if we weren't on TikTok, where a lot of the people involved were, it probably wouldn't have mattered. But in that moment, it did matter. And so I steered the conversation again. And when she started talking about red flags, I simply said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea for another day. I didn't think that they were getting the hint, but I saw that what I was doing was pissing them off, which is what happens when Kenzie doesn't get her way. And I believe at some point Kenzie dropped. Now, she claimed she lost her phone or dropped her phone or her cat ate it. I don't really remember. She came back up after 2 minutes. I've seen this enough to believe that she was upset that I was redirecting it. But before she came up, I said specifically, Kenzie, you wouldn't be saying this if one of the women involved in Harry's situation was here right now. And lo and behold, Sarah was in the audience, and Sarah joined the panel. And I think the very first thing out of her mouth was, yeah, Kenzie, do you want to say that again? Now, was this a big deal? I mean, anytime you engage in anything that could be harmful, it's a big deal. We get that, right? Was this a monstrous harm? No. Okay. We all mess up. It's so hard to be perfect 100% of the time, right? I didn't even think all that much of it, to be very honest with you. But what I did want to do was set boundaries, because for the past 3 years, despite what you all may think, which honestly, I have focused too much on what you guys think versus what it is I know. I've spent so much time centering everyone else that I've not had an opportunity to give two flying fucks about what I want. And I was going through some serious mental health issues in March and April due to an unrelated issue. And I was trying to assert boundaries with my friendships and people around me to be able to protect myself at that time, which is why I dropped person X. And with Kenzie, I thought it was not wise for her to have used those words. I didn't think, and I don't know what the right word is, deferential maybe to a host. I feel like if a host is saying we want to go in this direction and you're going the other direction, whatever word you want for that, I don't like using the word respect, but you would ordinarily allow the host to move. Now, Kenzie doesn't like that. For 3 years, I've known that, and that's okay. Kenzie's hard-headed. She has to do it her way. Okay, fine. It was no longer fine for me. And I was starting to assert boundaries with her where I felt as though my energy was being sucked away by her, that her needs were constantly being prioritized over my needs, and that there was just very little respect. There was very little concern. There was very little thinking in any way what it is that matters to me on my own platform. And some friends are like that. Some friends are selfish, and we take them for what it is they are. And I would have been fine with 80% of who it is, 50% of who it is she is. But I needed to start creating some boundaries. So I put it in my head, I should circle back to Kenzie later, and I should just let her know, hey, when you're on there, just a couple of things for future. So I put that in the back of my head. A couple of hours go by. Kenzie basically says she's got some news for me. And we get on a call. Now, the start of that call was her bragging about a guy on TikTok that she'd gotten with, that she was hoping that I would consider exposing. And it was a nothing burger. It literally was 4 minutes, and it seemed like it was more so to brag about that she was able to engage with this person. And I just skipped over it because, another issue, but she routinely would sort of brag about her accomplishments in a way that was just weird to me. And as soon as I realized she was not approaching me for a call out reason, even though it was framed like that, and this was more about, look at what I'm able to do, aren't you proud of me? I quickly moved the conversation on. Now, I cannot remember what the segue was. I just can't. What I do know was that Kenzie said something about Mac not being able to take criticism. Now, Kenzie's told all of you guys outside the server, Irish flipped to shit. He was like, oh my God, how can you say Mac can't take criticism? Now, for everyone who knows me, including Mac, if you come to me and say Mac can't take criticism, I want to hug you for the validation. Just like I have a couple of things that people have to adjust to. Mac, criticism is one of those things, right? Now, Kenzie, I don't know, her wild story is I got irate or something. If you guys think I could ever be irate with Kenzie and get away with it, I don't know what to tell you at that point. But basically, she said something about Mac being critical. I was like, yeah, no shit. Yeah. On the topic of being critical, and I think I put in a joke about that was a bad segue or something. On the topic of being critical, I did want to talk to you about the live that just happened. And so I segued into the live. And what I told Kenzie was as soft as it could be. And if she says otherwise, she's just lying. I literally said, because I know you have to placate. You have to placate Kenzie. She doesn't tolerate anything less. So I basically said, and it wasn't that big a deal. So it wasn't that hard to placate. I basically went to Kenzie and I said, Kenzie, look, no big deal, but on the live earlier today, I know you didn't mean it whatsoever, but there's just a couple of things I want to touch on. You know that like if I'm dropping someone and I'm dropping them for a topic because they're bringing something up, just do me a favor and don't follow it up because I don't want to have to say that to you because like it's just embarrassing, creates unnecessary tension. Like just take the cue. There was no dispute with me saying that. Then I said, in addition to that, um, there was a couple of words that you're saying that was just a little victim blaming. And that's exactly how I put it. It was a little victim blaming. And what I was alluding to was the fact that she had validated person X's words, which I think Kenzie agrees. Kenzie believes those words were victim blaming. And Kenzie validated those words. And in addition to that, started talking about red flags. And I basically said there was a couple of things you said that were a little bit victim blaming. And I started to say, and I just want you to realize that on my platform, I don't have any leeway at all because I'm a guy. And so I can't really tolerate anything that's even approaching that. On her platform, totally fine. I'm not going to be given any grace whatsoever. And so I started to say, it was a little victim blamey, no big deal. I know, you probably didn't mean it at all, but just do me a favor, like just remember that when you're on my platform, you're not able to get away with as much as when you're on your own. And I thought that was going to be it. I thought she was going to be like, sure, no problem. And instead, she got very cold, very terse, and didn't shout, but got vocal and just asserted, I didn't do anything victim blaming. Now, the next 30 minutes is her telling me that I'm wrong, that she did nothing wrong. And I remember it devolved into her saying, no reasonable person. Because we talked about like, well, what about the use of the words red flags, blah, blah, blah. And her argument, and she was getting very heated, very heated. And she was getting so heated to the point that I said, Kenzie, look, I'm not trying to like come at you right now. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. And I understand, like, I don't understand why you're getting defensive. I'm literally just trying to tell you on my platform what my concerns are. And she immediately turned around and said, I remember because I wrote it down. I can't be defensive if I'm not wrong, Irish. Said it in a louder tone. Now things escalated. After about 30 minutes of this, and now it's become arguing one-sided. She's irate. After 30 minutes go by, she then evolves because I kept saying, I know it wasn't your intent. I know you didn't mean it. I get it. Like, I know you didn't mean to do it. Like, I'm not saying you're a bad person for it. She then flipped into, well, here's what I wanted to do. And here's where I was going with it. And here's what the next things I was going to be saying on the live. And I listened to it for like 5 minutes. And then I was like, I mean, come on, this is so stupid. We know the difference between impact versus intent. So I simply said to her, look, Kenzie, I get it. You didn't mean to do it, but you did it. You did it. And I'm just trying to simply say, or, from my perspective, you did it. And Kenzie started to like gaslight me into thinking I was wrong, to the point that immediately after the call, because at the point I'd gotten to the habit of writing stuff down from calls, I wrote down a transcription. I transcribed what had happened. And in it, the notes I wrote down, which I still have, talked about the fact that I had said, you know what, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I did fuck up. And as soon as I started saying that, she was like, no, it's not maybe, you did fuck up. And that's when she started saying, send me to live, send me to live. And I was like, okay, I'll get the live. So it's 30 minutes of her saying she did nothing wrong. Then it's about 10 minutes of her saying, I didn't mean it. That's not what I intended to do. Here's what I wanted to do. And that's when I start to get more focused on the fact impact, impact, impact. And I start saying things that are vague. I start saying, what if, you got to think about the fact that there may be women who have been impacted like the women impacted by Harry. You got to remember that, like, even the word red flag in this space could be triggering. And I was kind of keeping it vague, talking about why it could have a general impact. And she was like, it didn't do that. She did like some sort of snicker, as she does a lot. She just dismisses a lot of what I would say. And so then what she said was, Irish, I didn't have an impact. Nobody was hurt. And it was the moment she said nobody is hurt that I said, okay, listen, I'm not trying to fight with you right now. But I'm telling you right now, one of the people who were impacted by Harry were watching and they were impacted. And then I started going into what could have been a righteous thing. I understand it could have come off as high and mighty. Respectfully, after 45 minutes of this person telling me, shouting at me, for me telling her, here's how you need to agree to this on my live moving forward, because this is not helpful. This is not good. It's harmful. I then start to say, and I say it like this, and why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Their love life is literally national press. They have all of TikTok talking about it. And as I start to make this sort of like maybe impassioned plea, certainly not yelling around like that, but I'm certainly like impassioned saying, but like, look at all this bad stuff that's happening. And she turned around and said, in just this was not shouting, it was just a very harsh, terse tone, I know that, Irish. And for one of the first times that I've known her, I had a equally terse tone back, and I said, no, Kenzie, you don't. And Kenzie hung up the phone. Now, at the end of that, I'm like, that's a call with Kenzie. That kind of call was not hugely out of the ordinary. I've had a number of times when I've tried to criticize her when it just blows up like that. I remember when the Jones thing was happening, she decided that I told her I didn't think it was appropriate. I just thought it was not helpful for her, a white woman, to ask and question the degrees. And I was just like, I think maybe someone else should maybe just do that. I just think there was something about the idea of her questioning Jones, and or it ended up being Jones's wife, about each of his, educational degrees, to me just felt a bit distasteful. And I remember I said on the call, like, that's just some like white womany shit. Like, I don't think you should do that. And she got really, really upset with me when I said that to her, to the point that she literally wrote it in our comments, either during or after the call. There's been other, like, what I consider to be minor things that I'm saying, such as when I helped her with the Harry videos. She asked me for her help on those videos. I spent 2 to 3 hours and more time watching the damn things, giving her feedback. Throughout the entire time, she was irate with me, genuinely angry with me, genuinely snippy at me, getting upset with everything I said. To the point where, after about an hour, I just shut up. And I just sat there saying, that's a great video, Kenzie. That's a great video, Kenzie. That's an even better video, Kenzie. Because that's who Kenzie is. Just can't take criticism. So that thing that happened, that was March 20th, March 21st. It was a fight that I'm used to having with Kenzie, a one-sided fight where she feels entitled and or is upset that she's being criticized in some way. And at the time, and still today, I think, by me in particular. After that, she ghosts me for about 2 months. Now, I know how Kenzie works. She's going to run to the server and she'll be like, aha, I didn't ghost him. Here's a couple of messages. She basically ghosted me for 2 months, during which time she sends me a couple of things, but I think every single one of them was something for her, not something for me. And she made like 2 appearances maybe on my live or Mac's live, but I know she's never liked Mac. I get the sense she may I'll be telling you guys she never liked me, and we can agree to disagree, but she's never liked Mac. But, her platform doesn't get as much fun opposition. She knows that. That's why she comes back to Mac all the time. And so even though she clearly didn't like me in that 2 month period, she would come back to take from me. Now, when I say take from me, I'm not crying about it, but it was very one-sided. And I'm thinking, is she going to get over this? At the same time, I'm also thinking, this isn't a bad thing. I'm all right with this. I'm not getting called all the time. I'm not getting asked to help all the time. She's not coming up on the lives all the time. This is not a bad thing, but I'm thinking it's not that big a deal. Flash forward to May 17th, maybe. Well, let's say May 18th. On May 18th, the people who are closest to me, which Kenzie's server, because I don't know, critical thinking is not something that Kenzie really tries to teach you guys or something or encourage, has decided that people closest to me are sluts and people in a harem. Weird. Kenzie knows the actual truth because Kenzie's asked multiple times to be part of that group. So it's weird that Kenzie's acting like, I don't know, might be a harem, it might be a PR team, it might be just simps. I don't really know what it is. It's weird because Kenzie's asked to be in that group for a long time, which we jokingly call the council because I fuck up a lot. So I go to them for help and guidance. And due to the fact that I'd had mental health issues due to a very disturbing pedophile case I dealt with that had triggered something that had just fucked me up for a few months. I was absolutely engaging in more erratic, volatile behavior without question. I was being more snippy, I was being more frustrated, I was being more curt without question. And one of the people who ended up getting a lot of that was Mac. And Mac was going through, I would say, one of the hardest times of her life, dealing with someone who Kenzie knows is an incredibly dangerous criminal stalker who has been arrested for terroristic threats, for stalking, for a violent crime. I can't remember what else there was. And this man had found where she lives. This man had tried to get her kicked out of college, literally wrote a police report to her college, like tried to get her fired from her employer, a stalker of a different variety. So I'm going through a horrible mental health issue, which Kenzie knows all about. Mac's going through a horrible time with this stalker, and the two of us are not in a position to support one another. The two of us are not in a position to prioritize the other one's needs. And so we're having a call on May 18th where we're going to talk about, bro, you need to take a break. And yeah, no shit, I did. And on top of that, we need to talk about like some of the things you did as well, because like that's not cool. Now, Kenzie has framed this to say, oh no, this was all about calling out Irish. This was an internal live. This was an internal accountability live. Well, I mean, Kenzie's a liar. Ask the people who are hosting it, not Kenzie, who intruded on it. It was meant to be an intervention. We all cared about each other. We all wanted the best for one another. That's what it was meant to be orientated towards. And we're going to call that the intervention. Okay. My closest friends come to me, we talk about it. There's two other calls that are important. One is called the pre-intervention and the other one's called the post-intervention. Pre-intervention is a 7-hour call that precedes the intervention, and then a 7-hour call afterwards called the post-intervention. Somehow, Kenzie got into both of those calls. Hasn't happened in 3 years. I was confused. What's going on? I didn't know this. And it turns out that for 7 hours, Brussels and Kenzie told my closest friends the grossest, most disgusting lies about me. And then said, well, you got to keep it a secret. You can't tell Irish. But we're going to tell you all these horrible things he's done. But don't tell him what we're telling you. And what ends up happening is everyone but Brussels and Kenzie basically start treating me weird, like they have something to say, but they're not saying it. And the reason is because it's not their thing to say, so they're waiting for Brussels to say it on the intervention, and they're feeling weird that they have all this information and they can't tell me about it, but they're treating me like it's true, which understandably they're being told by Kenzie and Brussels. And what ended up happening was I think the two of them had just grown to dislike me, which is fine. But they didn't do the thing that no one seems to be able to do when it comes to me. Walk away. Now that sounds egotistical, but I mean, hello to my haters from Kenzie's server who have been hating me for years when I don't know you exist, bro. I don't even know you. And for some reason, when people encounter people they just don't like, they can't move on with their lives. And Brussels and Kenzie, instead of walking away, they wanted to hurt me, which is fucking weird. And so for 7 hours, they told my closest friends these horrible lies. And then we had the intervention call. And it was weird because it kind of flipped between how are you doing? We're checking in on you versus Brussels saying you want to do this horrible thing, but not saying what the horrible thing is. It was really confusing to me. But ultimately, it goes well. And we set up a plan. We set up a plan of action and we're optimistic about it. And I guess that pissed Brussels and Kenzie off because there's a 7 hour post intervention call where apparently more shit is dumped and more energy is given. In both calls, both of them are saying, we don't think he's a good guy. I think you should cut him. And in the second one, they're more adamant about it. Certainly in the chats, because we got the records of the chats. And what ends up happening is I'm being treated like cancer by my closest friends. Can't figure out why. And so I'm in my group chat saying, guys, what's going on? Can you just tell me what the hell's going on? Now, in the background, I find out later. I'm asking, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And what ends up happening is one of my friends, Quacky, comes to me. And Quacky says, hey, I'm glad the intervention went well. I'm glad that, we were all able to talk, but I have a problem. And Quacky proceeds to say that they're incredibly disappointed in me as a person, that they knew that I had a talent for doing things, but that they never thought I would harm a vulnerable person. They never thought I would do anything harmful to a good person. That I'm known for being able to do harm to other people, but whatever that tool set is, I would never direct it towards someone good. And Quacky they weren't angry. They had clearly given up 50% of our friendship, specifically said, my trust is never going to be there again. And I'm telling you, this matters to me as a person because victim advocacy matters. Being moral matters. That's why it mattered to Quacky. As Quacky's telling me all this, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, Quacky? And then Quacky says some stuff, and I'm like, wait a second, is this due to the Sarah thing? Is that what you're referencing? Because what Quacky said was as follows. Now, there was a few lies, but we'll get to the big one. Basically, I'm told in that moment that Kenzie was brought in, which I had not been told. That Kenzie had told everyone that the live with person X about Harry that had Sarah, that live, I had come to Kenzie afterwards. And Kenzie had it in her head that I wanted to emotionally wound her. That's who Kenzie is. She centers herself. She thinks she's so important that when she gets criticism, she thinks it's because the person wants to mortally wound them. And she tells them Irish created a scenario that did not happen. Irish said that a victim, and that's the word Kenzie used, and you all in Kenzie's server are arguing over the word victim versus vulnerable person. I've been using the word vulnerable person because that's what Sarah agreed with. Kenzie called her a victim. And Kenzie said that Irish was representing a victim, and Irish pretended that that victim came to him in confidence and pretended that that victim said that Kenzie had hurt her with her words and that Kenzie had thoroughly investigated it, that she had reached out to everyone it could possibly be, found out that it was most likely to be Sarah, and that she had gotten Sarah's DMs to confirm, and that she'd reviewed the DMs, and that it didn't even have her name in the DMs. Kenzie then said that what actually happened was that that victim, that's what Kenzie's saying, came to Irish because of his moderation. Now, I want you to think about this, right? Whether you call it moderation or the guests, they're synonymous. Kenzie, because she's a manipulator, is hoping you guys don't get that. So she's hoping you don't understand that if someone has a problem with how you moderate guests, they have a problem with your guests. So my narrative is that Sarah came to me about my guests, wanting me to wrangle them, right? But she wants me to wrangle them because they're saying bad stuff that's hurting her. But Kenzie somehow got all my friends to believe that Sarah was giving me advice on how to moderate panels in general, and that it was all focused on person X, had nothing to do with Kenzie. She wasn't even in the DMs. And as Quacky's telling me this story, I'm like, hang on, I have those DMs right now. What are you talking about? And Quacky says, I don't remember how it was phrased, whether we like played a dance to figure out, like, do we really know who we're talking about? But it was confirmed that Kenzie had said it was Sarah. And I was like, okay, then yeah, I definitely have those DMs. And I get those DMs to Quacky while I'm on the call. Quacky looks at the DMs and she's like, what the fuck is going on? Quacky, who 2 minutes before was basically saying, you've been degraded, buddy, saw the DMs where it's abundantly clear Sarah came to me in her DMs and said, yo, person X, what the fuck? Why are you letting them go on? And then said, yo, why is Kenzie doing that? And is very clearly indicating they're upset. They're hurt by what both of them are saying. And the DMs also show, and I was very honest about the time frame. I could have lied about it. I didn't. I showed that I then had a call with Kenzie. There's 4 pages of DMs. And I go to show that basically I disappear for an hour because I go talk to Kenzie, and then I come back and I report back to Sarah what happened. And I say, we just had a big fight. And I say that she just told me that I need to apologize to you on her behalf. There was some confusion about what she thought I meant by that, which I understand. And Sarah's like, apologize. And I say she didn't think she was victim blamey or something like that. We have the DMs, we can check. Sarah confirms, well, yeah, of course she was. And those were the DMs. You had Sarah showing that she was hurt. You had Sarah later agreeing, well, yeah, she was victim blamey. That's how it felt to me. And that was it. Quacky saw that and she was like, what the fuck is going on with Kenzie? Now, a day goes by. We're now May 20th. And Quacky says, have at it. Now inform the rest of the group. So I joined a group chat, and Brussels, a few others are on the group chat. And I'm eager to tell them, yo, Kenzie told you guys a huge lie. And I show them the screenshots. And Brussels doesn't seem to care. It was really weird. Instead, Brussels turned around and basically said, kind of pivoted pretty much immediately after learning that Kenzie had said that she had ended our friendship of 3 years because she found out that I lie about victims, which, by the way, she also said, Kenzie did, that we all know Irish helps all these SA victims behind the scenes. Irish is probably lying about what they say so he can emotionally wound other people, guys. Kenzie was basically saying, what he did to me, he's going to do to you, using these poor innocent SA victims. And by the way, if there's anyone who's on that call, so Kenzie, you can make your pitch if you want in the comments. But if there's anyone on the call who wants to start saying, yeah, that's what happened, start letting them know so that they know you're here. So I find out Kenzie's doing this. I get on a call. I tell Brussels, I'm expecting Brussels to be like, whoa, that is not okay. Brussels is nonplussed, doesn't even care. So Brussels ends up turning around and says, well, there's something else. And I was like, why are we not talking about what Kenzie just did? Brussels then says, well, one time on a call with Kenzie, I thought you were verbally abusive. And I was like, verbally abusive? Said it just like that. And she immediately started to walk it back. And she changed it to another word. I don't remember what it was. She said, well, not verbally abusive. And then she said something else. Don't remember what it was. And then I said, whoa, in what way was I like that? And after 2 sentences out of my mouth, Brussels, who I've known for a year and a half, have had many calls where passions have been inflamed, started to cry. Never seen this person cry in front of me aside from that one time with Jones. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I go into immediately, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Like, we could stop. We could chill. I can mute. I'm immediately going into, this person's been triggered. What the hell's going on? And she leaves the call. I never talked to Brussels ever again. Now, at this point, I'm like, okay, Kenzie's told these lies. All my friends are fucked in the head because something's going on. And I start saying, I need to know, who did Kenzie get to in order to get into this group? Because I need to know, how bad faith is Kenzie? Because at the time I'm thinking, was Kenzie maybe misinformed? It's possible she just didn't understand. Because at that point, I wasn't aware of the DMs. I found that out a little bit later. Even though Cracky saw the DMs, she didn't tell me at that time that Kenzie had said that she'd looked at the DMs. So at that point, I was thinking, okay, Kenzie's relying on Sarah, what she said. So then I'm thinking, I want to figure out how bad faith Kenzie is. Who brought her in? How the hell did she get into this group? Nobody would answer me. Couldn't figure out for 3 days. I'm pleading with them, and I look like a fucking lunatic. Guys, who brought in Kenzie? Now, I found out later, Brussels is crying in group chats in the background saying, I'm scared. I don't want him to know. Don't tell him. I'll get in trouble or some shit. 3 days go by. I finally figure out it's Brussels. I don't remember if I was told or I figured it out. I think I just figured it out. And she's treating me fucking weird. And I'm like, okay, Brussels is not a bad person. This is just Brussels, something weird's happening. This is not Brussels. But Brussels is treating me like shit. Can't figure it out what's going on. At the same time that all that's happening, Sarah is also treating me. Sarah is in my DMs saying, Irish, you are a scumbag. Irish, you're a user. You're an abuser. You never cared about me. You were just using me to get on Alina's live. You only care about yourself. Saying all these things that, I'm having Sarah, someone who I was helping, tell me I'm a bad person. So I'm like, whoa. And I'm having my closest friends telling me or treating me like I'm cancer. It was the worst few days I've had on TikTok. I went live a couple of times and then I said, I must be the problem. I'm gone. And on May 25th, I said, I'm out of here because I couldn't understand how I could be hurting all these people. Now, even though Sarah was doing all this stuff, I knew Sarah was a good person. I knew Sarah suffered from anxiety. I knew that Sarah had shared that like she's vulnerable and can like be peer pressured by people. I knew Kenzie had manipulated her. I knew that from day one. In fact, the very first weird DM I got from her, I literally said, this looks like it was written by Kenzie. I literally called it out, which she denies, but I know it was written by Kenzie and or Brussels. But even though Sarah's saying all these things, I know she's a victim of Kenzie. So I'm not going to get mad at what she's saying to me. So I keep treating her with kindness. And over the next few days, I don't know, she starts to think maybe I'll talk to him, and we get on a call. And at the almost beginning of that call, she gets flustered and she says, I want to get Kenzie on the call. Now, when she said, I want to get Kenzie on the call, I was like, oh my God, Sarah is a liar. Because if Kenzie's manipulating Sarah, the last thing Kenzie wants to do is to be on a phone call with Kenzie, me, and Sarah. Because Kenzie knows I'm smarter, sharper, and I'm absolutely more on point than she is. And she wouldn't be able to withstand 5 minutes of me being able to pull apart her lies. So the moment Sarah seemed okay with having Kenzie, which I assumed Kenzie would have told her, I assumed Sarah's a liar. Fuck. We get on the call. I start kindly because I'd been messaging Kenzie asking for a call because I wanted to talk it out. Kenzie opens with a horrible attitude, just terse for no good damn reason. And for the next hour, I see one of the biggest things Sarah was saying is, I don't want to be in the middle, Irish. I don't want to be in the middle. You're putting me in the middle. You're using me. This isn't fair to me, Irish. So when we get on that call, the number one priority I had was, don't let Kenzie talk to Sarah in order to make her do her dirty work. Every time Kenzie turned to get Sarah involved, I said no. She doesn't have to be involved. This is you and me, Kenzie. But Kenzie kept on trying to get her involved. Now, at the time, I'm thinking now, Sarah may be actually worse than what I thought because, like, why are we on this call? But Kenzie then turns to Sarah and says, she frames the question in a way I know she wishes she didn't. She said, Sarah, were you hurt? I know she meant to say, are you hurt? That one error is what fucked it all up. Because when she said, Sarah, were you hurt? Sarah said yes. And the moment I heard that, I knew Sarah could not be doing intentionally what the fuck is going on, because Sarah's validating my story. Sarah is validating that she was hurt by Kenzie. It's over. Conversation over. Kenzie apologized to Sarah. We're done. Instead, what ended up happening was Kenzie then started to bully and coerce Sarah into, instead of telling us whether she was hurt on the day that I spoke up for her, Kenzie wanted to focus on, but are you hurt today? Are you hurt today? And I interrupted and I said, the fuck are you talking about? Are you hurt today? If I break a leg a year from now, my leg's going to be fine. It doesn't mean it doesn't fucking hurt today. I said that on the call. Kenzie did what she did. She ignores stonewalls, pretends like she knows more than anyone else. And I realized at that moment, Sarah is scared of Kenzie. It was very clear to me that Sarah is going to do whatever it is Kenzie wants. And that this isn't fair on her. As the conversation continues, we say a couple of more things. Kenzie does coerce Sarah into saying that she is no longer hurt and she no longer thinks that Kenzie victim blamed. No longer thinks. Now that Kenzie has a chance to explain what she meant, now she no longer thinks. And Kenzie's argument is, well, Irish, you're a liar because she doesn't think I victim blamed and she's not hurt. And I say to Kenzie, that's great. Healing, growth, fantastic. How was she on March 21st? Which is the question Kenzie doesn't want to deal with. So I get off that call defeated as fuck. I leave TikTok because Sarah sends me a message saying, pretty much, don't put me in the middle. I have high anxiety. I'm stressed. I don't want to do this. Don't use my DMs. And I know what was happening. I knew Kenzie was coercing this woman to shut down the only way I could show that Kenzie is lying. Because Kenzie knows I'm going to prioritize Sarah over me every fucking day of the week. Every fucking day of the week. I'm going to prioritize the person who needs the help, who I said I'm going to be there for, over my own interests, unlike Kenzie. Kenzie, who doesn't know anything about victim advocacy other than if she considers herself a perpetual victim. So Kenzie got Sarah to tell me, don't. I can't take it. Now, she wasn't lying about the anxiety, the anxiousness. Not at all. I knew that was all real. And I knew that this was going to break Sarah because she had been betrayed by fucking person after person after person on this app. So I said, I announced in my server, you guys have seen me crashing out on lives in the past couple of days. I'm going to say this. There is an interpersonal issue going on that I can never disclose. And I can never disclose this because the person involved in the middle of it doesn't want to be involved. And so I'm going to walk away out of respect for that. And that's exactly what I did. I've never said Sarah's name to anyone. I've never said Sarah's to share her DMs after the day when I didn't know at the time, right? She didn't tell me not to share them at that point. Couldn't share her DMs and couldn't tell the story. So I was, I'm the guy with the receipts. I had no receipts. This was the case up until 12 hours ago, when all of a sudden I'm told, oh, we're allowed to talk about Sarah all of a sudden. Really fucking weird and convenient that the day I'm going to finally talk, and I had told Kenzie, I'm going to respect what Sarah wants. Sarah says, don't show her DMs. Sarah says, don't name her. Sarah says, don't show anything that relates to her. I told Kenzie, I'm doing the live on those terms. I don't need Sarah to say her name. I don't need it. But 12 hours beforehand, I'm told, hey, Sarah's coming, which I'm guessing is to. That's the story. The other lies that were told, Kenzie told a vicious lie that she said that I coerced her, pushed her, encouraged her to lie to an SA victim, or a victim, a victim, an abuse victim. And I'm using the word abuse broadly. Kenzie is telling people that I coerced her, bullied her, encouraged her, but that she was super honest because she's Kenzie, full of integrity. And that she took fell on the sword for her mistake because she had made a mistake with regard to this individual. And she claims that I said to her, you know what, the best thing to do is just lie to the victim, and then you can just kind of get out of it. There's a whole bunch of other stupid lies that Kenzie has said. I think lying on Sarah's name, that's a big lie. I think that her putting a woman who was vulnerable, who Kenzie was apparently meant to be helping with regard to the video series she did, if, the 5 of you who watched it. And I was prioritized. She put that person in the middle, knowing her anxiety, knowing she'd been betrayed, got that person to sacrifice the only person who I think has routinely showed up for her over and over again, in order for Kenzie to just hurt me. Like, it's fucking weak sauce. It's weird, man. It's weird energy. And she ended up using Sarah as a token, just as she's used so many people as tokens. It's kind of crazy how many people she's hurt in order to hurt me. All of your server, to all of Kenzie's server, the amount of women that you've attacked, you're cowards. You're bad people. Now, I'll rephrase that. You're doing bad things. Whether or not you're bad people is up for you guys to figure out by the end of this live. But you've done demonstrably bad things. All of you have denigrated and degraded, humiliated and bullied the multiple women who've gone in there to try to tell you the truth. They didn't come in calling you names. They didn't come in doing anything that would have been deserving of the treatment you guys have given. They went in to tell you the truth, and you slapped the shit out of them in Kenzie's name. But that's who Kenzie is. She don't give a fuck about you, bro. She used Sarah. She's totally abused all of the people around me who she just a couple of months ago considered friends. And she's putting all of the people around her through all of this nonsense. Because unlike me, who's tried not to drag anyone into it, go into her receipts folders, and over and over and over and over again, all you see is Kenzie bringing in this one person and this one person and this one person. So I'll finish up in less than 5 minutes. Brussels lies were just as egregious. The primary lie that she told was that Irish has, and I am allowed to share this information, this is per Brussels, Irish has unique information on an SA victim, and that information, Irish knows that that woman was violently, anally raped. That's what Brussels told my closest friends. And that Irish is engaging in behavior that will demonstrably not only hurt that woman, but will hurt her in a way very much related to her trauma. My close friends, Quacky, Ernesto, Schubity, Mac, they were like, are you sure? Because that's wild, Brussels. Brussels says, you betcha. You betcha. In fact, she shouted, she was raped. She shouted. Brussels shouted, she was raped. And Irish doesn't care. Now, she's told a couple of other stupid lies, but to me, those are the most egregious. So, that's what happened. Everything I've told you right now, stack of Bibles, that's what happened verbatim. I don't have the receipts to be able to show you any of it. For 3 years, I've been nothing but receipts. And I've always said, you'll find me to be undeserving. You'll find me to be unbecoming. You'll find me to not hit the high standards. You're never going to fucking find me tell a material lie that impacts an innocent or good person. Never. Now, Kenzie's probably typing away. Did Irish just say he'd lie? Yeah, I'm going to lie to protect a victim. Kenzie will lie in order to create victims. Kenzie will lie in order to exploit a victim. Kenzie will lie in order to be able to hurt a victim. I will lie to protect the victim. That's my exception. And that's it. Quacky,
Can I
go ahead.
just want to talk about like you've gone over the facts, which I validate those facts. I just want to talk about what that 7-hour call felt like.
Well, hang
And
on. Can
yeah,
we do that in a bit? Can we do that in a bit? Because I want to be respectful to Kenzie. I'm 15 minutes over the max time I said. Can we just bring
yeah.
up Kenzie?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do
I'm just going to
that.
be
Yeah,
fair.
we can do that after. I'm gonna
Okay.
drop because my
I
phone's
apologize.
overheating being on the stage.
Tell me about it. I apologize. Quacky will be coming up. So with that said, I did say that I am going to largely mute. I told Kenzie that she has the right to pull up a screenshot saying, you said you'd be mute. I did say a couple of requirements, which was Kenzie knows that Mac has been routinely used as a pawn by every single bad person that I've called out. Kenzie has witnessed that trauma time and time and time and time again. And you've all seen her victimize Mac. You're all over in it's amazing. You're all over in Kenzie's server saying, poor Mac. We feel bad for Mac. Can't believe she's attached to Irish. Poor fucking Mac. But you're also allowing you're allowing Kenzie to bully and berate the same woman you're all saying is a victim. You're all weird for that. You're fucking weird. So I told Kenzie that she's allowed to talk about the facts relating to Mac. She's not allowed to talk about Mac's story. Because I know Kenzie likes to appropriate the stories of vulnerable people, not doing it on my platform. So that was one of the rules. The other one is she can call someone a liar. She can say that someone manipulated, got no problem with that. But she's not going to be cursing at, calling names and that kind of thing to people who are not fucking involved, who don't deserve the heat. And she's keeping it focused on the shit that I just talked about. Now, she did say she'll keep it focused on that, but then she's got other stuff, which is fine. But I want this done first, and then she can do whatever she wants. So with that, I don't know if Kenzie left, may have, I don't see her. So if she's gone, I'm just going to end the live. Yeah. All right. I'm not seeing her. Okay. No, I see. Uh, guys, who can bring her up? Can anyone bring her up? Okay, there it is. Finally, she just requested. Great. I'm going to mute now. You can tell me when it is you want me to unmute.
I don't think I need you to mute. I think I just kind of want to discuss everything you just said. Man, that 20 minutes felt a lot like an hour.
I apologize.
Are you familiar with the term gish gallop?
Yeah, the abuser who stalked and terrorized Mac for a while liked to use that word, as I'm sure you're aware of because you were on the live when he used it. I'm assuming you're using it for that reason, but yeah, I'm aware of it.
Do you think that's what you just did?
No, I told my story, so if you'd like to respond, go ahead.
Okay. So, just so the audience knows, like gish gallop is when someone like overloads you with a whole bunch of points, which makes it difficult to respond to all points. And I absolutely think what Irish just did is absolutely gish galloping because he said so much. Like I have been typing to try and keep up with questions in order to clarify a lot of things so that we can have some transparency. And I wish this would have been more of a dialogue rather than an Irish diatribe, followed by me trying to scramble and go back to points. Because if it would have happened, like if he would have talked and we could have had conversation as it went, I think there would be more clarity. So I'm going to do the best that I can. The first thing I want to ask you is do you consider yourself a paranoid person?
I'm not going to be answering questions. If you'd like to tell people what your side of the story is, feel free.
You're not going to answer any questions.
No, I'll answer questions. I'm not going to answer them at the front. Why don't you tell people a response to what it is I'm saying, then I'll happily
Because I want,
engage.
like, I will tell people when I think it's necessary, but I don't know why you get to have a hour preamble when you said it would be 20, 30 minutes. And
What's
then
the name of the
now,
server, Kenzie? It's my server,
oh,
that's why.
so let me get this straight. You get to dictate the terms. You get to manage me. Is that right? Tell me how that's good faith, Irish. When you get to dictate all the terms and when you get to manage how I respond to your statements. Tell me how that's good faith. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'll wait until you're done. Are you finished with what you wanted to say in the server? Because as I said, I set my boundary, and as I know you're not used to doing, I'm going to make sure you respect my boundary. I know that's always been a problem with you and I, because I've set boundaries with you multiple times and you haven't cared in the past either. So I'm really glad we started today with it being very clear that I set certain boundaries to you joining this call. You asked to join this call. I didn't invite you. You came
Yes, you
into my
did.
DMs. You came into my DMs. You come into a different group chat, right? I said, you're welcome to join. I don't need you here. If you feel uncomfortable being
Mhm.
here, or if you feel as though this isn't going the way you would like, you're very happy to leave, right? I stated that if you're going to join, here are the terms. You respond to what I'm stating and avoid those certain things. And that's it. So I'm going to mute again. You're going to try to deflect again, which is what your plan is. And then, once you look a little bit more silly, then I'll chime back in again.
So okay, so that's the first thing that I do want to highlight is Irish saying that I asked to be here and he did not invite me. If we look at the receipts within my server, he absolutely did invite me. Kenzie is welcome to join. Brussels is welcome to join. In fact, in his 10 screenshot dissertation or legal briefing that I'm sure it took him hours to complete, he literally said, this is how they're going to respond. They are either going to say, I'm above this and I don't need to address him. They are going to pretend that they are so traumatized and overwhelmed that they can't speak to me. But what they're not going to do is come into my space and answer questions, because liars crumble under truth. And yet here I am, willing to have dialogue, willing to ask questions and have questions answered, which he even also said in his server that he hoped that would be a mutual thing. And now the format has changed. Like, wild work. So I guess I'll start. The thing that I want to start with the first, I'm going to try and be as concise and linear as possible, because like I said, this is a lot of information over a long period of time. And I want to make sure that everything is handled with great transparency. So let's start with the Jones Live. Actually, let's just start like December, January, because I think that's kind of an important time to highlight. Like, this is when I would say that Irish's personal well-being started to crumble. In December, he was not replying to DMs. And I want to say from probably like maybe May until October, give or take, there was a lot of how do I put this? Like, emotional support that he was providing me. The summer of 2024 was probably one of the worst summers of my life. And he was a great friend to me during that time. So to kind of have him pull away in that aspect made me worry for him. I'm pretty sure he did post these messages in his Discord of me saying, hey, is everything okay? Are you worried? You're not replying to me, so on and so forth. I do want to highlight that he did not post the responses of him coming back in January, which when he did come back in January, he did not tell me that, I'm uncomfortable with you. I feel that you're over sexualizing me or you're crossing romantic or sexual boundaries. Like, none of that. He said he was struggling mentally, he was overwhelmed, and he just needed to take a break. I even asked him, as a friend, how can I help? If me reaching out and saying, hey, are you okay, is too much for you, like, please tell me that, because I know everyone likes support in different ways. And I think to be a friend, you have to understand how your friend likes support. So I was very much, in fact, I will post 2 voice notes that happened in early January that do highlight the mental place that he was in, as well as me saying, how can I make sure that I'm a good friend for you and give you the support you need? Also in January too, there is another screenshot within my server that says, I even asked him, like, hey, am I crossing any boundaries? Am I putting too much on your plate? Because I know, again, when someone is struggling, if you have all these people asking how you are, if you have all these people asking, are they, can you do this for me? Can you do that? It can be overwhelming. You can feel more burdened. And I didn't want to do that to him. So I don't know why he's um, characterized our friendship as something that it wasn't. I mean, obviously to like uphold this narrative that he's created, but like I've been very transparent with those receipts, and all of those receipts are available in my server. So going to the Jones, I would say the Jones Live is when things really started to change. It was the first project that I ever worked with him on, and I really hadn't had that firsthand experience of putting together. Like, I don't do call out lives. Y'all know I'm a debater, and I had never organized something like that. And there was a lot of difficulties. He's a micromanager. He is overbearing. He is overzealous. He is anal, and he thinks he knows best. So there were a lot of disagreements. Even Brussels checked in on me and said, like, hey, he was kind of aggressive to you. Are you okay? It was what it was, whatever. We made it to the live. As you all know, Irish's, I hope everyone can still hear me. My phone went off. As you all know, so the agreement is that Irish would talk about what happened between Jones and Brussels in 2024. Brussels would talk specifically about her lives that she hosted in early January 2025. And then I, along with her, would talk about um, essentially Jones's response the few following weeks later, him going on Pubs Live, him hosting his 4 Out Crash Out, so on and so forth. For those of you that watch the live, you know that Irish's section did not go well. And he ended up leaving the live, ended up not going through all of the receipts and everything that he wanted to do. He lost his fucking shit because of this. He even told me in Brussels later on that he thought for the next hour that we had plotted against him to cancel him on this Jones Live, which is why the first question that I wanted to ask him was, do you consider yourself a paranoid person? And I want to establish that Irish is very much a paranoid person, because this is why we're here, is he has made so many assumptions and assertions within this scenario that he, without evidence, because of this extreme paranoia. Everything that we're about to go over is not a huge deal in a lot of respects. And we're on a fucking Discord live that's being streamed to 2 servers and streamed to TikTok because of this man's fucking feelings. That 1 hour diatribe was deplorable. The shit that he said was so fucking insane. This man knows that he is lying, that he is over embellishing, and that he has created this narrative to center himself, to uphold his ego, to play the victim, to villainize all these people because he can't emotionally fucking regulate and because he's so goddamn paranoid. So I want to start off with the live regarding Harry Sisson. Now, I tried to, maybe negotiate's not the right word, but it's the word that's coming to mind right now. The terms of this, I don't even know, this Discord call, whatever you want to call it. I think it is very bad faith of Irish to say, like, I'm going to make all these statements about you. I'm going to tell people all these things about you. I want you to come and have this conversation. Wait, no, I don't. You want to come and have this with me. And then to dictate all terms. Like, if you were here in good faith, if you were open and honest, you would give the other person you're talking to the same respect that you are entitled to. I get to go on this 1 hour diatribe and I'm not going to fucking answer your questions like crazy work. So originally, when I was trying to negotiate these terms, there was one creator that I might have needed a reference, and I said, can we call her Creator X? But now, for some reason, Irish has given that name to the other person that was on the live with Harry Sisson. So I guess I'll just refer to that person as Creator X. There was a lot of mischaracterizations within that live. I do believe I was actually on the live at the same time as Creator X. I don't think I joined later. I forget how long the live was. I forget how long I was on the live. But I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, it was about 2 hours. And, you know, as some of you know, when I'm a guest, I like being a guest because I can do other things while I'm on the live. I can clean my house. I can make coffee. I can do all these things. So again, please forgive me. The live was four months ago. I'm doing the best with the memory I have. I don't think I was paying as much attention to what Creator X was saying as he thinks I was. I feel like I remember coming back to my phone at the end of her getting kicked. I do remember some of the statements that she made. And she had made one statement talking about red flags. I don't know what it specifically was. I will agree with him that, yes, she was doing a lot of victim blaming shit, you know, calling the women stupid for not understanding that, you know, you're on Snapchat. It's not that deep, blah, 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 blah. And I want to say that Irish defended this person. After he kicked her, he said, I still fuck with her. I don't think she meant what you're all gathering that she meant. I don't think that was her intention. And he glazed her the fuck up. He did not hold her to task, as he's claimed. He might have previously, but after he kicked her, he was very clear, like, I don't think that was her intention, which is weird because he wants to center impact over intent when it comes to me, but he'll censor just her intent when it comes to her. Which is a contention that Sarah did have, that not only like Sarah was frustrated with his moderation, that he allowed Creator X speak as long as she did, and then after he kicked her, said, "I still fuck with her. I don't think she meant what she meant." Blah 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 blah. So she was mad about those things and his lack of moderation. When it came to my statements, I can see how maybe transitioning and saying, I didn't say I agree with Atlantic's points. I said, she has a point with this one thing. And the point was with red flags. Because when women are engaging in casual relationships, there's only two criteria that need to be met. And that is, that obviously they find the person attractive and that they feel safe. So my critique is how can women identify red flags when men will be manipulative and will create the illusion of safety in order to get access to women and maintain the connection? So that's what I was talking about with red flags. I said several trigger statements, but he didn't name what they were outside looking for red flags. So I just want to highlight again, he really embellishes things. She said so many trigger statements, and then he only names one. So that was a question that I had for you that I guess he's not going to answer. And then I I have watched this live. I have extracted the transcript from it. I have ran it through ChatGPT. I have talked with Brussels about it. Like, I have reviewed this live, and I course corrected on that live when Irish objected to my statements. I even admitted, sure, maybe it's not the right time for like the theoretical or the analytical points that I want to make. Fine. He even states in the DMs between him and Sarah that I did a 180 when Carly and Sarah came up. And I would think that would be the fucking point. I would think that would be the result that he wanted, because he didn't like how I was behaving, and therefore I course corrected. That seems like, to me, I was listening to him, I was respecting his platform, and I was changing my behavior. He said that Sarah said something snotty to me when she came up. That's not true at all. I have no recollection of that. If she did, I did not hear her. Because my memory of that live is when Sarah and Carly joined, Sarah was fangirling. Like, "I love you, Kenzie," blah, blah, blah. Like, when they joined, I centered them. I affirmed them. I uplifted them, did all the things, because that's what they deserved. So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't remember how the live ended, but we did get on a phone call. He said that we got on the phone call because I had bragged about hooking up with a creator that I wanted him to do a call out live on. I have no fucking idea what he is talking about. Like, I don't remember why we got on the call. I don't remember the first part of the call, but that's just fucking wild to me. Like, you all have been in my Discord. Like, I don't hook up or have relationships with people on the internet. I've had 2 in the 3.5 years I've been on TikTok, and they haven't, they've been short-lived because I get fucking bored. So that more fucking misogyny. I hope someone's keeping a counter of all of his misogynistic fucking bullshit he's saying. So I don't remember the first part of the call was. When we were talking, I don't know how it transitioned, but no, I didn't bring up that like Mac can't take criticism. I criticized Mac. I criticized something she said on a live, and that triggered the fuck out of him. That's what happened. I criticized her. So once I said that, all of a sudden, my criticism is that she said something I found very misogynistic on a live. And then he's like, "Well, speaking of misogyny, what was that shit you did on my live?" And I mean, even the misogynistic language that he uses, he's God. this is why gish galloping is so hard, because I can't remember the exact words he used. He says that, you know, I'm like crashing out and all these negative things, and that he's impassioned. Like, give me a fucking break. So he goes into this, and at the center of our conversation is he is trying to convince me that my statements were victim blaming. I don't know like why he keeps saying victim blamee. I don't know if victim blamee is a degree below victim blaming. I don't know if it gives like vibes. Like I would really appreciate a distinction there. But that was the center of our conversation, is that I was victim blaming. And that's what Sarah felt. Sarah was upset that I was victim blaming on his live. That was Irish's claim. Not that she was hurt, not that she was upset. She specifically stated that I was victim blaming. Now, my position is actually the exact opposite, because my assessment was, how can women ever see red flags if men are so manipulative they'll create the illusion of safety? Like, is there a way? Is this a conversation that we can have? Is this something that we can discern? Like, that's what I wanted to talk about, which honestly I think was very, very valid within that live. I don't know why this fucking man thinks that he is the ultimate authority on what women talk about in women's experiences. Like, give me a fucking break. So I was trying to clarify my position to him, and he gave no fucks. All he wanted to do was convince me that I was victim blaming, and Sarah had said that. That's what his ultimate goal was. He kept telling me, you're showing no empathy, you can't take criticism, you're getting defensive. I don't know why he's saying that I kept begging for him to send me the live. He kept berating me to watch the live, which you can see in our DMs after the call. Because I said, I told you several times, I'll watch the live, I'll watch the live. And you just kept going on and on and on. So then he is, you know, telling me I have zero empathy for the women's experience. I was absolutely victim blaming. I was upholding rape culture. And that's when kind of the crescendo of the call happened. Because I said, I don't need you to fucking explain rape culture to me. And that's when he said, yes, you do. And I hung up on him because that was fucking bullshit. Like, I don't need to be mansplained by Irish on rape culture. Like, know your fucking place as a man in a woman's space. So after that call, I begin to feel bad that some woman felt I was victim blaming her. Like, I felt guilty for that. So I reached out to him and said, like, hey, could you tell them I'm sorry? Because I don't want someone to feel like that. He said no. I actually feel like I do want to read. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. Irish, are you posting receipts and responding to what I'm saying in your chat? Like, I don't know why you're doing that if you don't want to have a dialogue. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me scroll. So I said, please tell the person who DM'd you that I'm sorry the impact my words had. I realized they were harmful and it wasn't the right time for the conversation I was trying to have. So I admit this call that we just had, that I was wrong, and I apologize. So I give him everything that he wants. He says, I won't be doing that. And I said, okay. And then he starts typing. And I say, please don't type a novel. which is interesting that Irish is like, I'm going to stay on mute. You respect my boundaries. And I say, please don't type a novel. And his response is, don't criticize me for talking too much, Kenzie. That's who I am. The options my mutual have is to tolerate me being a long-winded monologue bore or not to tolerate it and move on. Like crazy, crazy work. Because again, this is what Irish does. He overwhelms you with his fucking diatribe monologue so that it's so mentally and emotionally taxing for you to respond. So then he talks, you spent 30 minutes arguing with me that what you said in the lie was not accurately described or fairly perceived as victim blaming, and were insistent that my constructive criticisms were wrong. All of that is correct. And rather than focusing on what you did, i.e. the potential harm, you focused on what you intended to do. Nope. That's not. I do want to talk about impact over intent, because I feel it is very misplaced and he's actually using it incorrectly within this situation. As soon as I reminded you this isn't theoretical in nature and try to get you to emphasize with that, you interrupted me to tell me you get it and you hang up the phone. That's not necessarily true. So I said I was not arguing with what was perceived. I was clarifying the point I was trying to make. I told you several times I'd watch the live. So again, that message right there says that I was not asking for the live, that he was trying to push the live on me, and all you kept doing was pushing. Then you continue to criticize me that I accept feedback poorly and relate it to Mac taking criticism. So even in our call, he brings up how Matt can't take credit. Matt can't take criticism. Kenzie can't take criticism. Nobody can take criticism other than Irish. Then this is a continuation of our DMs. Then you mansplain to me how someone else is feeling, and when I tell you I don't need to hear it, you tell me I do. That's why I hung up. And he said, mansplain to you. Okay, this is just bad faith. And I said, my feelings are bad faith. Crazy take. And then here again, he says you showed zero empathy or consideration for the woman on the live, either during the live before they joined or during the call. It's not mansplaining for me to describe the pressure they're under and why I was going out of my way not to shame them. And again, I was not shaming them. I want that to be very, very clear. So to summarize this call, I want to tell you that at the center of it, Irish was convincing me that I was victim blaming and that Sarah had reached out to me and said she was hurt because I was victim blaming. Those are the two main points. Now, I want to tell you that I bought this bullshit. I bought it fucking hook, line, and sinker. And I felt so bad that I thought I need to atone. Man, I can't believe I victim blamed women and I hurt them. Like I'm a fucking feminist. Like that's the last thing I want to do. I felt so bad that I reached out to Sarah and said, hey, you know what? I don't feel like anyone's getting this Harry Sisson shit right. I want to do a series. What do you think? And she's like, yes, I would love that. The reason that I reached out to Sarah is because, like I said, when Sarah joined the live, she was fangirling. I thought we had a really positive interaction. Carly seemed a little bit more tempered and didn't seem like she knew me. So I honestly thought the person that had reached out to Irish was Carly, because if I had hurt Sarah, I think that's logical, like that, I didn't think I hurt Sarah because she came up on the live and, was fangirling and saying, I love you. Like that doesn't seem like a hurt person to me. So I assumed it was Carly. So I reach out to Sarah. We agree to do the series. Carly comes in, and then we work on this together. Now, Irish says I ghosted him during this time. I can't, like, I have a job, I have a child, and I took on a very big project. That series, probably over 100 plus hours. So I'm working it on the weekends. For those of you that watched it, the 5 of you that watched it, I made tons of infographics. I was on the phone with Brussels. I did, outlines. I filmed takes and retakes. Like there was a lot of work that went into it. So I wasn't reaching out to anyone. I don't like to say I ghosted him is just him fucking centering himself again in someone else's existence. Now, when you work on a project like this, you're going to get close with the people you're working with if they're not raging fucking anal assholes. And Sarah and Carly were great. Like, anything I asked them for, they gave me. We kikied, we talked about so much. We talked so much shit about Harry. Like, it was great. Such, girl bonding. Loved it. It was in early May that I was on the phone with Sarah. And I said, I have something I want to tell you. Because I want your advice on how I can approach it, because it's very sensitive. I told her, like, one of the reasons I did this series is because of, I felt very guilty. I felt guilty about this live back in March, where Creator X had done all these things. And Irish told me I was victim blaming, and that someone reached out to him and said I was victim blaming and that it hurt them. I think that's Carly. And now that we've gotten so much closer, I felt our relationship was really positive. I said, I feel like now I can approach her and be like, hey, this has really been bothering me. I felt a lot of guilt about it. I'm hoping we can talk about it and I can know exactly what I said that was victim blaming and apologize for it, because I certainly don't want to do it again. And waited that long because I didn't want to go to Carly when I didn't know her very well and bring this to her, because I didn't want her to feel like I was attacking her. Like, how dare you reach out to someone and say this about me? Like, I was really sensitive on how I approached her. And when I brought this up to Sarah, Sarah's first response was, I don't think Carly would do that. And this was the first time that I had, like, when she said that, my heart dropped, because this call with Irish was very traumatizing in terms of the guilt that I felt after it. Like I said, I spent 100 hours of my free time working on this series because I felt so bad. And then to hear that, it's either Sarah or it's either Carly. Sarah's not saying it's her, and she's not saying it's Carly. So to me, that was the first moment that I suspected that Irish had lied to me. So the next day I called Carly. Carly was great. It was a fantastic phone call. She said, I'm so glad, like, she told, nope, I never did that. I'm sorry that, I told her, like, I felt this rift between us and I wanted to get, it cleared up. It was a wonderful phone call. She was such a sweetheart, such a wonderful person, so supportive. And so then I go back to Sarah and I'm like, you're right. It wasn't Carly. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, did he fucking lie to me? And then we start to go through Sarah's DMs, and I realize that he's talking about Sarah. And so when it comes to these DMs, there are two sets. There is the first set where she reaches out to him and is pissed about his fucking lack of moderation on the live. Then, like he said, there's that gap where we had that phone call. And then there's a second set. In the first set, Sarah does mention me, which I've never claimed she doesn't. But in that first set, nowhere does she say Kenzie was victim blaming. She said it was gross I continued the conversation, but she did not say that I was victim blaming. And since that was the crux of our conversation, I look at the second set, and Irish plants the seed in the second set. I told her that a woman said she was being victim blaming. If you look at those DMs, Sarah doesn't even realize he's referring to her, because he makes it so general. That is him planting the seed to get her to agree with it, so that he now has it in paper, even though that was after our phone call. So it is my interpretation that Irish was triggered because I said something critical about Mac, and he wanted to put me in my place. And convince me that I was victim blaming, and that Sarah had said that. This is all because he couldn't regulate his goddamn fucking emotions. And I realized that, like, so then I go to the live. I'm watching the live. I realized I wasn't victim blaming. He was just shutting down the conversation, which is fine. I realized I course corrected, and I am having these conversations with Brussels and with Sarah. Like, we are figuring these things out together. And Sarah is upset that he went to me with this. I talked to Sarah about what I said on the live, and I explained to her my position. And she says, you know what? I would actually really like to have that conversation. That actually makes me feel better. And I want to highlight that this is why we have to be careful of men and women's spaces. Because Irish drove out of his fucking lane. When Sarah said what she said about me, he should have said, hey, you know, I have a personal relationship with Kenzie. I'm not sure what she was doing. I think she was doing this, but maybe you should talk to her. Because if me and Sarah would have had a conversation in March, she would have felt better in March. And I wouldn't have been fucking gaslit and forced to carry guilt for the next 8 weeks. But no, because Irish needs to be the fucking moral authority police. Not only does Sarah get to continue to feel like shit from that live, but I get to feel like shit too. So after I have all these conversations, I reach out to him because I think when you have a problem with someone, you should give them the courtesy. If their relationship means something to you, you should give them the respect and consideration to explain themselves. So I did. I told him I wanted to talk to him. I told him what I wanted to talk to him about. He said he wasn't in the mental headspace. I didn't push it. I said, okay, that's fine. Let me know when you are. Then the next night, I'm on a live with him and Mac, which, by the way, I want to highlight. I didn't go to Mac's lives because I have a problem getting ops. Like, bro, you're so fucking desperate for any dig. You'll say the most outrageous shit. I go to Mac's live because she's live at night. And I'm not live at night. Like, be so fucking for real. We're debating a man about rape culture, duh. And Irish is walking him down a thought tree, and I forget what the guy said, but he said something. I'm like, wow, you just upheld rape culture. And Irish crashes the fuck out. You stole my point, Kenzie. What the fuck? And then drops from the live. Like, again, fucking man-child unable to regulate his emotions. So I DM him and be like, wow, I'm so disappointed. That was so, I think I said that was so childish. I would have to read again the specifics. But I DM him that, and that's the next night after I tell him that I want to talk to him. And then I don't hear from him for days. And I want you to keep in mind that it is my impression that this man has gaslit me and manipulated me so that he could be right. And he used another woman to make me feel bad about myself. Like, I've said it so many times. I've made feminism my whole fucking personality. And he used that part of me to hurt me because he knew saying I had hurt a woman would fuck me up. This is my perspective, and I still wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that I was wrong, and I wanted to talk to him about it, but he chose not to engage. So this is the early part of May. There's still a lot of Joan shit going on. And Dill is posting a live. I don't know what he expected. If you're not going to talk to me, and this is my perception, then I'm just going to say perception's right. And if my perception was right, why would I want to keep that fucking friend around? That's it for me. You lie to me, you gaslight me, you manipulate me, I'm done. So because he chose not to engage, I decided I'm done with a friendship. So in a live Dill hosted, someone was criticizing my association to Irish, and I said, Irish and I aren't friends anymore. And only then did he reach out because I said something in the comments of a fucking TikTok live. Couldn't be bothered until then. And I want to say that was like May 14th. Again, I would have to check my DMs. Then, you know, Brussels is aware of everything that's happening. Just like Sarah, Brussels, Sarah and I had lots of phone calls. Brussels is centering Sarah's feelings, validating mine. And obviously, she's a part of the PR team, which I do want to say, like, I don't know where he's getting this harem shit. I called his Discord a harem, which again is just like a group of women, not his PR team. I've always called his PR team his PR team. So no, again, just another fucking mischaracterization and assumption of Irish. So I forget the date. I want to say it's the 17th. I think you know, like I said, Dill's live was May 14th. And then the morning of May 17th, like I had been talking with Brussels. Obviously, Mac had reached out to me in April and said that, you know, her and Irish had problems. They weren't friends anymore. She was struggling, blah, 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 blah. So I knew Mac was having problems. I knew Brussels was having problems with him in regards to a different creator. I'll just refer to her as Creator Y. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because I don't think it's that important in terms of the context to this. So I knew Mac was having problems. I knew I was having problems. I knew Brussels was having problems. And then she was telling me that these few months he was really taking a lot of his anger and frustrations out on people in his PR team. So I knew they were having problems. So everyone's having fucking problems with Irish. Shocker. And the morning of the 17th, she, I think she had told me that he had mentioned in like the PR chat, hey, I don't think I'm gonna like invest in my relationship with Kenzie anymore. And like no one reacted. And then he said it the next day. And then Brussels was like, yeah, you said that yesterday. So I don't think he was getting kind of the reaction from the PR team that he wanted. So and again, like it's so weird that he categorizes it that I weaseled my way into this call. I've posted receipts in my Discord that shows like I was invited to the call, and then I'm even like, I don't even know why you want me there. Like I did not structure this call. I did not organize this call. I did not ask to be a part of this call. Please, Irish, provide any fucking evidence or receipts or whatever the fuck you want to call it that proves otherwise. I was asked to join this call. And yes, the center of this call was Irish's behavior. Brussels was frustrated. The PR team was frustrated. And they wanted to hear from me what happened. That's why I was asked to join. They wanted to hear from me what happened. So I explained to them what I just explained to you. I don't know if I did it as well on that call back in May, but that's what I explained. Everyone was talking about their issues with Irish. Mac was talking about hers, and Mac's were pretty egregious. And a lot of people on the PR team were very unhappy with how he was treating her. So me having the knowledge of what she shared in April, having the knowledge of what she's sharing on the call, having my own knowledge. Yeah, I like, and I want to like say, I framed it by asking her, do you like what is your goal with social media? Do you take that seriously? Do you want to grow a platform? Do you want to have an audience? And she said yes. And I told her, like, you're so young, you're in your 20s. Your like life is going to change for you. And there will be a day when you and Irish separate. It's inevitable. He's fucking old. He's gonna die one day, and you're still gonna be alive. Like, so if you want to do it, like, you should do it now if you're having problems, because the sooner you do it, the sooner you have your goals achieved. She's saying that within her statements that I just recommended she cut him off, and that's not true. I I will say, you know, I might not be the most sensitive person. I might be very direct, and I've been told from several people, even today, that I'm intimidating. So maybe my tone and maybe my demeanor was more callous than Mac would prefer. I'll concede to that. But I was asking her for her goals and trying to advise her in a way that she would achieve those goals and have a higher sense of well-being, because she had talked about how isolated and traumatizing it was for him to abandon her in a very difficult time in her
Yeah,
life. So
Kenzie,
I
you
was
don't.
sensitive to that,
Kenzie,
even though I
Kenzie,
don't like that.
Kenzie, you're more than welcome to rejoin. I would like you to rejoin. I had a couple of very simple rules. One was you don't try to appropriate someone else's story in order to be able to look like the hero. If you want to invite Mac up later for her to share her story, that's fine. But it's not your story. It's really that simple. It's not your story. Mac can come up and say the exact same story, but it's hers. So I'm going to bring you back up again. I allowed you a bit of leeway, but I'm not doing that again. So if you'd like to re-request, re-request. If you don't want to re-request, don't re-request. Okay. She's gone. I think she's gone, yeah? Oh, you don't know how to request. Sorry, let me bring you up.
Am I back?
Yes, you are now.
Okay, great. So I asked her. So I'm sorry. Can I not say what I said in the call, or?
You don't have to talk about her story to say what you said. Just stick to what you said about me. That's all you have to say. All you have to
I
stick
can
to.
give my
Stick to.
perception.
Hang on. Sorry. Stick to the lie. That was the point. I don't. The other stuff. I
Okay.
agree with everything
Stick
else you
to the
did. Stick.
lie. Thank you, Ira. Great.
Stick to the claim
So I asked
instead of
Mac.
deflecting and trying to
Great, great,
appropriate
great,
her.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So I asked Mac on a scale of 0 to 100, you know, how involved is Irish in your life? And she says a 70. So I say, okay, fine. What would it look like at a 60, at a 50, at a 40? You know, like, just scale it back even. You don't have to cut him off. Just scale it back. So that was one
Kenzie, this
option I
is
gave.
not Kenzie. I don't care about those options. We can agree you said a lot of options. I've asked you again
Great.
to not speak about that. It's simple as that.
I'm not speaking on Mac's story. I'm saying what I
Kenzie,
told
there's
her. That's not my
literally no
story. That's
relevance.
my story.
There's literally no relevance to what it is I've said. So I'm going to
Oh,
say
you
it
get
one
to
more
dictate
time.
what's relevant for me,
Correct.
but not relevant for you. Got it.
Correct. You can
Got
go
it.
back.
Thanks, Iris.
How about this? How about this? You're happy to go back to your server after this, and I'll happily go on yours, and you can address those stuff then. No problem.
Okay, fine.
So go ahead. I'll mute
So
again.
do I continue? Great. So that happened. So the last thing I want to say in regards to that is that I was centering her well-being, not my disdain for Irish. I had no desire or motive to be in this call. The only reason I joined is because they wanted to know my perspective and my experience. And I thought that that would give them more information and insight so that they could make decisions for themselves. That's it. I like you have seen me sever relationships in the past. I'm no longer friends with Jovan, and I never said a fucking word. I was no longer friends with Jones months before, well, yeah, months before his call out live. Never said a fucking word. And I would have never said a fucking word here if someone didn't issue a 10 screenshot legal briefing. So I just want to make it clear that I had no motive into getting into his close interpersonal circle to fuck up his life. He was doing that fine on his own. He didn't need me for that. And so this call was 7 hours. He keeps saying there's a pre and a post call. I was on one call. That's it. I have no idea what he's talking about a post call. If he can post receipts to that, fucking love it. Cause no, a 7 hour, like the call, to be honest, was mostly boring. I was in and out throughout the day. I did not sit on it for 7 hours. The way he's characterizing me in Brussels within that call is absolutely ridiculous. This fucker was not on the call. He like this is and here's another thing I want to highlight. There are 3 calls. My call with him in March, my call with Sarah in May, and my call with his PR team at the mid or end of May. 3 calls. The only person that was in all 3 of those calls is me. And yet everyone is making assertions to calls that they were not in. If we are talking about these 3 calls, this is my story, this is my perspective, and I have the greatest insight into it. Another thing that I had talked about was his double standard when it comes to trust, which again is why I wanted to preface this whole thing with Irish being a paranoid person, because he is a faceless man, a faceless anonymous man on the internet. And he knows a lot about me personally. He could dox me. And I know very little, maybe some general stuff about him, but very little about him. That creates a power imbalance. And after our call in March, he said that I was creating a record, which at the time I denied. And I realized that in that case, he was right. And I realized it's because I don't trust him. Which I think the fact that we're all fucking here shows that my intuition was right, that he is not a trustworthy person. And this was something I had brought up to Quacky and Grace that I was having a problem with, that there is a double standard. It is okay for him to distrust you, for him to be paranoid about you, but God for fucking big, you don't trust him. You don't follow him blindly into his claims. How dare you? He is a man of honor and integrity. That sentiment was very much affirmed and validated by Ernesto. And I want to thank Ernesto personally for being supportive in that call in regards to that, as well as Grace and Quacky. And that was another thing I wanted to discuss with him on the call too. In early May, is this double standard? Because he wants to remain anonymous online, which I have no problem with that. There will always be this wall between us, and don't get fucking mad at me that you've put a wall. I like the wall. I'm fine with the wall. The wall can stay, but don't you get mad at me that you've put this wall up, and so I don't trust you, and there's consequences and outcomes because this wall exists. I don't think that's a difficult ask. So my concerns were multifaceted. We were talking, like in this call, we were talking about numerous things, about how he was treating the PR team, about, that other person, about myself. Like, this wasn't like a Irish crusade where me and Mastermind Brussels are like, take him down. I don't give a flying fuck about him. I do not care enough about him to put in that kind of effort. His reputation is shit. What the fuck do I need to do? So after that call with the PR team, Not much happened after that. Like I had the call with them. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Then Irish approaches me and it's like now he wants to have the phone call. Now he wants to have the discussion. And I want to say, I did not ask anyone to keep this call secret. That was very much the PR team's own agreements because they told me that Irish would see this as a huge betrayal of them talking to me to ask me what happened between me and him. Even Brussels, and again, W. Brussels is like, I think we should listen to women in their perspective in things that happened. Why don't we actually listen to a woman about her perception and not just, whatever fucking Irish is going to say? So that was also the other reason for the call. So then I would have to check DMs to get dates. But then he reaches out and he wants to have this call. And he's already telling me I'm making false statements. And I want to say, like, to Quacky, which I've already said in DMs, her going to Irish is a breach of the privacy and trust within that phone call. It's fucking ironic that Irish is up here virtue signaling, saying, like, don't tell Mac's story, when Quacky literally told mine without my permission, without my consent, that has put me here, as well as Sarah. He wants to center Sarah's fucking feelings, yet he's not going to talk about how Quacky violated that too. It's so wild to me how Irish drives out of his lane and everyone who seems to fucking follow him does too. That was not her job, to hold him accountable for what he did to me and for what he did to Sarah. And because she stepped out of her lane, she's caused harm to me and Sarah, which she has admitted and which she said she will apologize for. Not to me, but to Sarah, which is fine. So the hypocrisy within this group is just wild. I also want to highlight too that Mac doesn't give a flying fuck about Sarah. They've all made these assumptions of what's happened, and not a single person's talked to Sarah. Irish makes it seem like I've manipulated her. She is a grown-ass woman with her own thoughts and feelings. And I think it's super misogynistic for him to remove her agency, remove the capacity that she
How about you
has.
let her complain about that? How about you just speak for yourself, please? Thank you.
Wow. I'm not
How
speaking
about you
for
let her
her.
how about you allow
I'm
how
not
about you
speaking for
allow
her.
how about you allow the woman to speak for herself rather than you speaking for her, Kenzie? It's
I'm
a
not
simple
speaking for
boundary.
her. I'm giving
I've asserted the
critique
boundary
on what
multiple times.
you.
I've asserted the boundary multiple times. I know you don't like me setting boundaries. It's a simple
This
one.
is not a boundary, you
Don't
fucking moron. This
speak.
is you
Do
managing me
not
and doing
speak.
controlling me.
Do not speak for Mac. Simple as that. Please continue.
I wasn't speaking for Mac. I was talking about Sarah. Are
Don't
you
speak for
tracking?
Sarah either. Don't speak for
I'm
Sarah
not
either.
speaking for Sarah. I'm giving a critique
I
on you saying I'm
thought you just
manipulating
said you're
her.
speaking for Sarah.
I'm giving a critique on the fact that you said I'm manipulating her. Can I not address that statement?
I would rather you don't use a living being to give a critique, perhaps. She's a real person, so perhaps you shouldn't do that.
Wait. You can speak for her and say that I'm manipulating her?
No, she told me, and I just repeated what she said. It's really that simple. It's
So
just
you
that
can speak for her. So wait. You can speak for her. Is that what you're telling me?
No, the difference is that I listened to her better than you did. You didn't listen
Oh,
to her.
please.
Kenzie,
Please. Don't fucking gaslight me.
Kenzie, if I can ask you a question.
No.
When we got pulled into that call. Oh, okay, I'll
No.
mute up. Continue.
I'm asserting a boundary, Irish. Like I was saying, I think it's so misogynistic for him to rob her of her agency. And the fact that she is a grown-ass woman who can make her own goddamn decisions. Simple. Irish wanted to, he reached out to me, wanted to have a conversation. He was already accusing me of making false statements. So I said, you know, I feel like the tone has shifted. I think things are different. I want you to answer these questions. He answered some and not others. Based on that, I said, you know what? If you want to have this conversation, I'm fine to have it through text, but I'm not getting on the phone with you. And I'm sure you can all see fucking why. The control he needs to have. So again, he doesn't respond. I don't know how him and Sarah got on the phone. I don't remember. I know she was very frustrated with him because he was centering his feelings and his experience and not thinking about her, and that this turmoil between me and him was affecting her because she felt bad about it. So she's talking to him on the phone. He's saying shit, and she's like, I think we should get Kenzie on the call. And rather than him saying, I've asked to get Kenzie on the call, she has declined and would rather speak to me through text and through DM. So I didn't even decline the call. I just said, I'm not going to have it on the phone. I'll just text you. Rather than saying that and telling her, like, hey, she set this boundary with me, he's like, yeah, get her on the phone. So Sarah creates this group chat. The phone starts to ring, and then she tells me to get on. And I did not want to be on the call, but I felt obligated because I know how much this was affecting Sarah, and I felt like I owed it to her. So I got on the call. The call was awful. I think I must have told that man to stop talking like 25, 30 times. Because this is what Irish does. He steamrolls. He gets you, he makes you answer very specific questions within his own specific framework so that he can control the narrative. I don't remember a lot of that call because it was very stressful for me. I didn't want to be on the call. He was over talking me. He was doing the shit that Irish fucking does. And even at the end of the call, I said, like, who set up this call? Why didn't you tell Sarah that I don't want to talk to you? So it's crazy for me that this man is like, I establish boundaries that you never fucking respect. Projection. Like, this man projects everything. Everything he said about me is true about him. Projection is a goddamn love language. This man has made so many claims that he has no evidence of. He made the claim that I had some indirect or direct correlation to a discussion about him using the term bitch and talking about Amber Heard. And two people who were in both of our servers, Nicole and Gemma, that I had some kind of influence or involvement. He has zero evidence of this. And I know he has zero evidence of this because it's not true. I don't fucking care about him. So he issues this 10 screenshot legal brief and calls them out, which I will say at the time, me and Nicole were in an okay place, but me and Gemma were not. We had a disagreement and we weren't speaking. I do want to say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a very close, meaningful relationship, Nicole's at about a 7 and Gemma is at a 1. We don't talk, like, we hadn't talked very much and interacted. I knew who she was in my server. I liked her presence, and that's really it. Obviously, she's not a 1 anymore. Like, I love you, Gemma. You're great. But I didn't find out what was going on until she DM'd me and said, are you still friends with Irish? And I said, no. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to fuck him up. I'm like, please tell me more. So I had no idea, involvement, nothing. And he has made that assumption to the point where he put their names in his legal briefing. And like I said, I was not in a good place with Gemma, but Gemma, Nicole, and I had a group chat because of the Amber Heard situation with Irish. And I posted those in that group chat, just like, hey, I want you girls to know he's issued this and he's talking about you. So Gemma goes to the server and says, why are you talking about me in this dissertation about Kenzie? I don't want to be a part of this narrative. I already went through it with you. I don't want to do that again. And I'm going to say this directly to all of you, and not all of you, but those of you who like know what you did. You should be ashamed of yourself, how you fucking treated her. Saying she's centering herself when she's showing up and being like, why am I involved in this narrative? Calling her misogynistic? Disgusting, vile behavior. For a server and a group who claims to center women's voices, to amplify and validate, to give women the space to speak, didn't see any of that. Saw the exact opposite, actually. And then Nicole's not even in that goddamn server. Then they have to fight tooth and nail to try and prove this. And Irish, number one, manipulates Gemma's evidence to show that I had nothing to do with it by fucking up time zones, then sharing DMs between them without her permission, and then does the same shit for Nicole. He even admits in the DMs with Nicole, if you tell me I'm wrong, I'll retract and issue an apology, meaning he knows he said claims without evidence. And that recklessness fucked up Gemma and Nicole. And that pisses me the fuck off. When it came to the Jones situation, the thing that upset me the most is, well, obviously, you know, the thing with Brussels as well. But the thing that personally, that I feel guilty for, is that Jeff and Sean got dragged in. And now, to watch Gemma and Nicole get dragged in too? By another fucking man? Don't
Are you
tell
finished,
me.
or would you like a moment to yourself?
No, I was taking a second. I was pausing.
Oh, dramatic pause. I apologize. Continue.
It wasn't a dramatic pause, Irish. I'm trying not to cry, you fucking asshole.
I believe in you.
Get fucked. It's so
That's what you
interesting
used
to
to
me.
ask me for. That is true.
Shut up. Oh, shut the fuck up, you beta bitch. It's so interesting to me that Irish wants to come up here and grandstand about Sarah's experience, about Mac's experience, and gives a zero flying fuck about Gemma's experience, about Nicole's experience, about anyone that's not in proximity to him.
You mean I don't give a fuck about you? Is that what you mean?
Shut
Is that
up.
what the issue is?
Shut
Okay.
up. You said you'd be fucking quiet. Be fucking quiet.
I was speculating. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. You've had longer than me. I was just speculating.
I
Are
didn't know
you
that I had a
almost wrapping
time
up, or do you
limit,
need a bit more time?
asshole. I didn't
No,
set a
I'm
time
happy.
limit.
No, that's fine. I'm more than happy to keep going. Do you just want to give us a little bit of
Shut the fuck
guideline?
up.
Okay, I'll just mute myself.
Great. The parallels between Jones and Irish is incredible. The last point that I'm going to make is his hypocrisy. Mac has said some things about me, and he wants me to consider her feelings.
Yeah, I know.
And
It
her
kills you that
trauma.
I prioritize Mac over you, right? It has
Shut
always been
the fuck up. Do you
I'm
need
not.
to post a screenshot where you said that you would stay on mute?
Well, no, it's been an hour 15. I don't think there's any need
You
to
didn't.
continue
I
talking about Mac.
literally. This is the last thing I'm saying.
Well, Kenzie, you're not allowed to talk about Mac. If that's everything you've done, you're more than welcome to leave, and we're done, and I'll end the call. Simple as that. But I don't want you talking about Mac. We'll simply end the
So
call, and
I'm
that's it.
talking about Mac in a general sense because I'm going to talk about Creator Y. That's
How
the
about
thing
you
I
talk
wanted to
about?
talk
How about?
about.
I don't know who Creator Y is, but why don't you talk about someone else in a different sense? That's all.
So I want to say there is a creator on here that I'm referring to as Creator Y, and I
You
told you in
message,
our
sorry,
DMs
sorry,
that
just sorry. I apologize. Can we just pause for a moment? Can you message me who Creator Y is? You wrote me some
if you look
lengthy
through our DM,
messages.
if you look
You
through
wrote
our
me some
DMs,
very lengthy messages. Can you just type me
oh
very
my God,
quickly?
yeah, is writing lengthy messages hard? Is difficult to sort through things? Maybe if you fucking read them and actually responded to them. Sorry, one
Yeah, that
second.
was always something you complained about. You're right.
Oh my God. You're a pathetic fucking man and you know it. You
That is
you
partially true.
absolutely you absolutely know the
Hmm.
lying, the
Hmm.
manipulation, everything you have done and everything you're doing now. You know you're the piece of shit in this scenario. And the
Hmm.
fact that you have the audacity and the arrogance to perpetuate like you're not, you are either in such severe to fucking denial or you get off
Hmm.
on this shit.
Got it. What was the arrogance in me doing it, or was the arrogance in me turning down the
You don't
great
get
Miss
to ask me
Kenzie?
questions, sir.
Oh,
Shut the
I'm
fuck up.
sorry.
I'm telling you who Creator Y is.
Internal monologue. I apologize.
Good. So,
Got it. Okay, please continue. Although, hang
Creator
on.
Y,
Wait. Stop. Creator Y, just to be clear, has informed me that they don't want to be talked about in any sort of substantive way or any way that could potentially identify them in any way.
they are not going to be identified. It's very, very general.
Okay. Did you
Creator
even
Y
reach out
said
to Creator
something
Y to
about
ask?
Creator Y said something about
Did you even reach
Irish
out
that
to
he.
Creator? Did you even reach out to Creator Y to
Yes,
ask?
I
You
have
didn't.
talked to Creator Y. I have
In the
talked to Creator
past
Y. Thank
week to
you.
ask them? To ask
Yes,
them?
yes, yes. I have talked to Creator Y. Yes. Don't
Okay.
pretend you care about them. Don't pretend. Don't fucking feign that shit to me.
Yeah, please continue.
Creator Y said something on a live that Irish didn't like, and he wanted to have a discussion. She didn't want to participate in that discussion,
No. Stop,
and
stop,
he
stop,
has
stop,
had
stop,
the
stop,
fucking
stop,
raw.
stop, 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 stop. I literally told you she specifically has a boundary. She has a boundary. I'm respecting her boundary. I already know what you're saying right now is absolutely too much, too close. And if that's what you're thinking is safe, I'm not comfortable with you continuing with that part of the story. So you can talk about that story in your server. I'll happily end the call. Everyone can go over to your server. But I'm not having you do that in here because I'm responsible for that and I'm not taking that. So if you want to comment, I can bring you back up again. If either me or Kenzie are too loud or too quiet, you're able to individually set our respective volume. Kenzie, if you just say hi, and if not, if you want to tell me that you want me to send people over, I'm more than happy to do that as well. Okay, great. But I can't have you. I'm not going to risk that. You can talk about it on your platform, no problem. I just don't want it
That's
associated with mine.
fine.
That's all.
I don't know why you gotta say shit 9 fucking times. That's fine. I'll drop the point. It's not a big deal. I don't need to highlight your hypocrisy. I'll highlight it in my goddamn Discord.
Okay.
That's all I have to say. Your ass got fucking cooked, and you know it.
Okay. Am I meant to be bringing up Sarah? Because I see she's in a request. I would prefer not to. I assume
I,
you're done and you're finished, correct?
if Sarah wants to come up, bring her up. I guess you don't respect her agency.
I'm not tracking. You're saying I should bring her up or I should not?
She texted me and said, "Bitch, bring me up." Do you want to see the text? Do I need to prove that to you?
No, that's fine. I'm not seeing an option to bring her up for some reason. Does anyone else see that problem? Can one of the mods look? Because I'm seeing. Oh, maybe we have to change the. Yeah, this one. Okay. Sarah, it may be best if you leave and come back because I just gave you a different setting, but for some reason, are you requesting? I swear I saw you and then you're not there now. Can someone in the comments direct her on how to click it? Oh, comment in the comments. Sarah, say hi in the comments. Okay. Yeah, when I did that last time, there's no, I don't, oh, now it came up. Okay. Okay. Kenzie, is there something you wanted to say or should I drop you on now?
If Sarah wants me up here, I'll stay up here. If not, I'll drop.
I mean, I assume she's able to speak for herself.
Are you fucking high?
No, I've never done drugs.
I don't know why me saying, if she wants me up here, I'll stay up here. If she doesn't, then I'll leave, is me speaking for her.
Okay.
Sarah, you
I
muted.
mean, Sarah, I know that you've asked not to be put in the middle of all this. I know that you've expressed that you have a lot of anxiety. And I know that you've expressed that it has been very traumatizing for you to be put between the two of us. I don't know for anyone else right now, but it looks as though you're situated visually in between Kenzie and I. And I understand that we have two different stories that I don't think are really that far apart, but have been made further apart. I would argue to the stubbornness. And I'm just curious from your standpoint. Wait. Kenzie, can I ask you one question? And if not, you can say no.
Okay.
On the call that the three of us had, you or me asked Sarah, was she hurt? Was she hurt on the day? All I want to hear from you is, did she say yes or no? Did she validate that she was indeed hurt when she reached out to me, that she was hurt by your words on that live? Did she say that on the call, yes or no?
Yes, I think I made that pretty clear in my explanation of events.
Did you?
Yeah, because I said you robbed us of the conversation that we had in May, because we could have had it in March, and she would have felt better in March.
What do you mean by better? That makes it sound like there's an improvement
That's
that took
another
place.
question, Iris. I mean, Sarah, I'm sorry. You said, can you talk about what we talked about before I talk?
Well, Sarah, let me ask you a simple question. Since there does seem to be two versions of events, how about I'll just ask you a yes or no question, or a one-word answer question. Sarah,
Your tone is so gross.
in your opinion, Sarah, whose version of events is true and whose version of events is a complete lie?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I am here to speak up and, like, in regards to our situation, object to being put in the middle. I was lied about, manipulated, dragged into the middle of things I never asked to be a part of, exploited. But yeah, Kenzie's wrong about who did it. Everything Irish said is true. Every single thing she's accused him of is something that she's done to me for the past 2 months. I know this might come as a shock, especially to Kenzie, but I'm devastated. I was manipulated, lied to, and quite frankly, emotionally abused. And just like everyone else, I have a right to share my story if I would like.
Please, I would love to hear from the actual person who was hurt instead of the person who was hurt by me because they couldn't have me. So please proceed.
So I started speaking with Kenzie a few different ways, which she, like she mentioned, was already doing a video series on Harry.
Oh, wait,
So
Sarah, if you don't mind me interrupting, I do believe Kenzie said that she actually came to you and said that she was sorry and would do the series for you. Are you telling me that she was already doing the series when she approached you?
She approached me and she said she was doing a series.
Shocking. Okay, please. That's interesting. Please continue.
She was doing the series. She reached out, and then honestly, from there, just love bombed me. The series was not to help me or anyone involved in the situation. It was to get me to help her. In regards to the call that three of us had, Brussels and Kenzie had me in a group chat since early May, where the point of the group chat was genuinely just to take Irish down. In that group chat, they gaslit me, they used me, they got me to write things to Irish that weren't true. I felt a lot of pressure and stress, which they both knew. As Kenzie has mentioned, she knows that I have a lot of anxiety. And I mentioned that in our chats. I'm stressed. I don't feel comfortable saying these things. They did not care. Kenzie consistently said, be meaner, be meaner. I want you to be meaner to Irish. And the call was.
I just want to interject here.
Can you let the victim
This
speak for a moment instead of
is
speaking over the
the
victim and
victim.
for the
One
victim?
second, one second. I will interject. And
Please continue, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's important for you to actually have your voice prioritized instead of appropriated and hijacked by a narcissistic person who doesn't know how to take no for an answer. Please continue, Sarah.
And also just to clarify, as Kenzie said, I am a grown woman. I have my own thoughts. Irish is not influencing me in any way. The only person that influenced me or affected me or did anything to manipulate me was Kenzie. And that is a fact. The call was then switched somehow into Irish was putting me in the middle, but as Irish stated, he said he didn't want me to talk during the call because he knew that I was anxious. They said Irish wasn't centering my feelings when they, in reality, tokenized my feelings. I told the truth on that call. What Kenzie said did hurt me. At the time, I felt what she said was victim blaming. But she spent, at that point, like she mentioned, so much time on the series with Harry that she essentially guilted me into saying that I was no longer hurt because she was able to clarify so that my first hurt didn't matter anymore. And she never apologized for hurting me and instead focused on what her intent was and did not care. After the call that we all three of us had, Kenzie got angry with me because I didn't back her up enough. Even though I had informed her that, hey, I'm on mute, I'm sitting here crying because I'm so overwhelmed and upset. To which then Kenzie essentially kind of bullied me into abandoning the friendship that I had with Irish when there really was no need. Kenzie, aside from Irish, has hurt me in many, many ways. Again, in regards to the Harry series, it was always about her. She complained about not getting views. She didn't care at all. We didn't care about the other women, not helping the other women involved when they asked to not be involved. It was on live with, I believe, Alina.
Can I interject for a moment on that specific point? So, unlike Kenzie, who has never cared about women, I can tell you that as a fact. And today's day one. I will be doing a couple of these because there's so much that I have to be able to show on who Kenzie really is, since I now have access to everything that she has ever done and all of her chats, coincidentally. And so this will take a couple of days to go through. But I do think this is a good time to interject just because this dovetails on something that Kenzie had claimed. If you all remember, Kenzie said, I went to Sarah to help her. I wanted to do a video for the women hurt by Harry. Now, if you watched the video series, all five of you, and you watched and paid attention, the key theme of that series was these women were hurt and their stories were appropriated. They were stolen by other people who wanted to prioritize their own desires, their own benefit over those women. You had the right wingers who were on Twitter who were trying to spin it just to take down Democrats. You had people who just hated Harry who were exaggerating claims. You had people who were misrepresenting what the claims were. And that's what her video series was all about. Well, for the other four women involved in that series, they reached out to me, Kenzie, and they're going to be Saturday's story because they came to me and they said that you are one of the most manipulative, dangerous people they've ever encountered. And what they explained to me was that you had never contacted them about the series, and that when the series came out, one of them had serious safety concerns, genuine safety concerns. And that person came to you and told you, love your series, love what you're trying to do, but I need you to take my video out of it. This video puts me in danger. I've walked away from this. I've had so many issues. I've had so many harm brought to me because of this. They detailed that harm. They detailed it because I have the DMs. They detailed how at risk they were, and your response to that person was no. And then when they pushed, you said, we can have a call. And Kenzie, you then proceeded to get on an Instagram chat, which I have all the chats of, that lasted for an hour, where you threw Sarah under the bus. And you said that Sarah was meant to be responsible for contacting all of them, even though there's DMs where Sarah very clearly says, I don't want to talk to those people. And you had Sarah take the fall, and you let those four women take their anger, their rightful anger, out on Sarah for a large part of it. And you allowed her to be bullied because they were hurt. And those four women pleaded with you to at least take off the one video of this one vulnerable woman. And Kenzie, your answer on that call was no. It was no, which then caused all four women to say, in unity, because they're girls. Not like you, Kenzie, and not like Brussels, because we'll get to Brussels. They're actual girls. Those three women stood by their vulnerable friend and they said, well, now we don't want to be part of it as well. And that's when you did what you do best. Even though you're on a group call where everyone was present and everyone said, get fucked, you then started messaging people saying, in the group chat, while on the call, I would like to talk to you, Miss Blank, separately. I would like to talk to you, Miss Blank, separately. I would like to talk to you, Miss Blank, separately. You tried to divide and conquer four vulnerable women harmed by Harry in order to be able to coerce them into giving you a, rubber stamp on your already made series. And one of the women said, what are you doing? And you then ended up coercing her into getting her to agree. And one of those women joined the live with Alina, where she literally pleaded for people to give a shit. But because of Kenzie's credibility on this app, and because of all of the esteem and credit you guys give her, because of her reputation and not her actions, you all agreed with her. And so I was asked to share that specific story because it is important for the rest of Sarah's story for context, because that was another instance of where Sarah got abused on behalf of Kenzie. So I'm going to mute it now. And Sarah, just tell me when you're done, and I'm just going to remain silent for the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much what I was going to say next, was she put me in a group chat with those girls and just let me get berated for an hour when she knew that I didn't contact them. A couple of the other things, she had forced me into sending money when I told her that I was struggling. At the time, my boss was sexually harassing me, and he called me drunk while I was on the phone with her. And I was like, I have to take this call. Like, I don't know what to do. And she said, if you talk to him for more than 5 minutes, you owe me $50. And I just didn't think much of it. I didn't think she would say something like that and mean it. So I got off the phone, took the call, and the call with my boss was like traumatizing to say the least. And the next day, I woke up to a text from her. And I can read this to you. She said, this was a little bit into our conversation. She said, "Are you at work? I'll send you my Cash App." And I said, "Kenzie, I'm poor," and told her more about the way that he spoke to me. And she said, "You made the deal, hooker." And I said, "I'll send you 25. Gimme," like her Cash App. And she said, "Bruh." And I said, "It was a traumatizing night." And she said, "Yeah, if only someone had told you not to take his call." Didn't care about what I had gone through at all. She also put me down as a sex worker. I don't know if the other day in the live you guys were there when I said I was getting ready for work and she said, "Ew." I find that a little hypocritical because she herself is a sex worker. So I don't really know where she stands on that anymore. She faked receipts of her getting gifts to try to create like an illusion that she was better than me at the sex work aspect of what I did. She would message and call me until I would answer. And if I didn't, she would text me things like, "Oh no, I deleted the series by accident," or "I need you," or "SOS," or things like that, just to get me to respond, which actually also, it did include Nicole. She did have Nicole DM me about getting help with the same sex work that I was helping her with to see if I'd respond. Which I'm under the impression they're both anti-sex work. So to me, that seems a little hypocritical. Convincing me that sharing Destiny screenshots on Tom's live was bad. For Irish doing it for me. She made me think that it would look bad if he shared them for me, when in reality he was just trying to help me because I wanted the screenshots to be seen. Also, little things, Irish trying to promote the Harry videos, and her saying it was bad and that I should be mad at him for doing it. And I think also one of the things, Irish, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but Jaden.
Well, we're going to be sure. Let's go there.
He just made me feel very uncomfortable, and I was on a trip and he wanted to meet up with me while I was on the trip. Initially I had said, "Yeah, that's fine, let's meet up." And then I had just changed my mind. And he would not leave me alone. He was messaging my friends. He was cash apping me. He was doing everything he could to get a hold of me. And he also messaged Kenzie and said, like, "What's going on? I can't get a hold of her." And Kenzie essentially just kind of thought it was funny. Irish helped me. Even though I was in the middle of actively hurting him by sending him the things that I was being told to send. Irish, I don't know if you want to speak on that at all, or...
Well, no, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit for what Jaden did. And whoever knows who Jaden is, I think you all know, so you can put it in the chat. Sarah called me very upset and somewhat very worried because she was meant to be meeting up with Jaden, but very clearly started saying, giving signals, but then also very clearly said, "I don't want to meet up with you anymore." And after saying that, he then moved on from simply trying to text message to then trying to going on Instagram, to then saying he bought a gift after she said no multiple times, to then contacting the woman Sarah was staying with to offer the gift to her. and Jaden would have to driven for an hour. I know that when Sarah called me, she was panicked as fuck. Panicked as fuck. So I assume she was the same when she spoke to Kenzie. And from what I saw, Kenzie was laughing about the whole thing and talking to Jaden like they were good friends when he was not taking no for an answer. He was not. And I've had a call with him and he did apologize. He did say that he did miss some signals. I guess the signal was the very clear message that said, I don't want to see you. And he did say that this was a one-off event. And he did say that he's learned from this event. But the relevance of this is the fact that Kenzie thought it was a joke and funny. And we can share that story a bit more in detail over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm
Unless
confused,
you don't say
Nicole.
more.
No. I was just reading comments. Nicole, did you want me to show screenshots of you messaging me asking you to help with FinDom or what?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I have those screenshots, Nicole. Would you like me to get the screenshots where it's like your sixth message to Sarah out of all your messages? Do you remember? Because, Kenzie was messaging and harassing Sarah. Sarah was saying that she was very anxious and that she had to really focus on herself. And Kenzie was saying, I need to create this OnlyFans and I need to create this FinDom persona online so that she could get paid, which is understandable. But when Kenzie was not getting what she wanted, essentially, Nicole, you popped out of nowhere asking for the exact same thing. Or it could be a coincidence. It totally could be a coincidence. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just not sure what's confusing. Is that cool? I don't think
Life is hard for some people, I guess.
thoughts are hard. I get it. Yeah, Nicole, what account was that the guy messaged you from? You have no idea. Not one that you have any clue.
I'm inviting you up, Nicole. You can ask Sarah if you'd like.
I honestly have no idea. It was just some random guy on TikTok who sent me a message. He actually sent me another message last night. Well, I had blocked him, and then he sent me a PayPal last night asking me to unblock him. But he was just some random guy on TikTok. I joked about him. I have no, I get random messages from men all the time on TikTok, and he said that he would pay me. So I was like, okay, let's actually do it. Let's see if he will. He
That's
ended
awesome.
up not. And so I blocked him. And then yesterday he sent me the money hoping I'd unblock him, which I never did.
That's awesome. It may have been a total coincidence. So you have not then been working with Kenzie and any of this stuff then is what you're saying was a total coincidence.
I'm sorry. Just wait.
Oh, you have to ask her? Sure.
I'm sorry. Wait 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how to turn you guys up. 1 second.
Because I believe you all come into the server on June 27th, right? And I said that Kenzie was involved with you two. For some reason, you all said that I said that she made you do it. I didn't say that. You put words in my mouth. I said that Kenzie was involved in it, right? So and part of the reason for that was that you reached out to Sarah about a topic that was literally the thing that Kenzie had been hounding her. So I just want to make clear, because it could be a total mistake. You've not been working with Kenzie at all, or in any sort of like real way with regard to anything negative towards Sarah or myself.
No, why Why would
Okay.
I don't have anything against you or Sarah.
Got it.
I don't know. I I'm sorry. I'm just really confused because like I
Yeah, no,
literally
I'm
sent you that
confused.
message, Sarah, because we had talked before about you had like been involved in sex work and I didn't know who else to talk to, so I just sent you a message really quick.
Yeah, when did we have
I
a
thought like
conversation about sex work? I mean, I'm
we didn't-
happy to say it was a coincidence. If it was a coincidence, genuinely, I'm happy to say, yeah, it was a coincidence.
well, we didn't have like a conversation, but like I saw you like on live and I was like chatting. But I I I I swear to God, it was just a coincidence. I
Okay, could
swear
you
to
can you
God.
then no, that's great. Then I'm just curious, is the group chat that you're in with Kenzie, with Emma? I'm not going to name the last person who was added because I really like them and I respect them. Just coincidence as well.
Wait, what do you mean? Is that just a coincidence?
The group chat that was created at the time that you all started talking, the one that says group chat to roast Irish. How exciting. June 27th, 8:13. While you guys were actively in my server doing shit. Miss Kenzie, Gemma, and Nicole. And Gemma says, I'm so pissed. Oh my God, I want his head on a jar in my nightstand. And Rolly Nicole says, they are all his followers and adding on. That's a coincidence. Or that may not be you.
What?
There may be, oh,
Like,
I'm sorry.
wait, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to exactly. I'm gonna have to see it, but
I mean, it's in the
what
chat
about
right now.
group chat? What does that have to do with the message I sent Sarah?
It doesn't. We're moving on. You're saying it's a coincidence,
It
right?
is
So we're
100% a
accepting,
coincidence.
and we're accepting exactly what you're saying. And so
But
moving
you're
on to
not.
another question.
Are you though accepting what I'm saying? Because I don't think you are.
I'm
It was
accepting what you're saying.
well. It's not really about you. I'm just trying to talk to Sarah because I thought we've always been like okay. I don't know. I've asked you if we're okay, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm
I
happy if it was
I
genuinely a coincidence.
swear to
I'm happy
God,
to say it was a coincidence.
I
Yeah, I'm not going to
swear
hold
to
that
God,
against you.
that was a coincidence. I swear to God, that was. I have no idea about any other thing with you and Kenzie and sex. I've never even heard about that. I've never
Yeah,
heard about that.
no, that's
Um,
okay. Like I said, I'm happy to admit if that genuinely was a coincidence. I'm happy to hear that and like accept that.
I literally can show you. I think I might have sent you the messages he sent
She's
me.
literally accepting it.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying I can send the receipts of all that I have. Like I'm telling you, like that was a coincidence.
Okay. So fully coincidence seems like she's accepting it. Would you mind telling me about the group chat?
What about the group chat?
I thought you and Gemma were traumatized by my very simple statement that said that Kenzie was involved with you and Gemma in regard to the blow up that took place. That's all I said. And Kenzie came in
So
here and said that you two are suffering mental health issues or acted as though you two are, that you've had a
I,
horrible time, that you've been doing really
none of that
badly,
was
that you've been really sorry if I can just finish. And that it's been really traumatic for you guys because I was paranoid that I had made it up. Remember, Kenzie started by saying, Irish, you're just paranoid. Irish, you make shit up in your head, but it does appear as though you guys were in a group chat where
yeah.
it literally says here to roast Irish, and the 150 screenshots I have off the chat, all 1,000 messages, 950 reference me, which is like appreciated, but it seems like you're all very talky about me. So when I say that Kenzie is involved in it and Kenzie's telling you guys what to say, Kenzie's telling you whether or not you should stay in the chat. Kenzie's talking about what it is you guys should write. Kenzie even gives you guys a ChatGPT script. Do you remember that? So when I said that Kenzie was involved, do you think that that was a false or bad
Did she
characterization?
did she leave or did you drop her?
Oh, I think she dropped her. She may have dropped herself. I certainly didn't. Oh, she's still in request. Mac, just give us a little bit of time if you don't mind. Because Mac, no one's going to go anywhere. Just to let everyone know, I want Sarah to finish what she's saying. And when she's finished, the actual thing that people will be talking about is the very last thing we're going to do, just so everyone's aware. So I would not leave, because if this has been interesting to people, the finale is spectacular. Sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
So the group chat. So yes, the things that happened in the Amber Heard and the bitch topic happened. Gemma was. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Nicole. I don't want, Nicole, because I don't want to stress you out or take up too much of your time. And I know that Kenzie's blowing up your phone right now. What I'm saying is, do you agree that my characterization that Nicole and Emma, when I said that Kenzie is involved in the blow up that occurred, do you think that that's a fair characterization?
No, she wasn't
No.
involved. No.
Okay. Do you understand the distinction?
Wait,
Do you understand
no,
the
let me
distinction?
finish.
Well, sorry. Well, no.
Because that's not what happened.
I'm just going to finish the question. So I want to be clear. I don't want you to mistake that she was the reason it happened, because it was a long event. Didn't happen. It's not that we're looking at the start only. We're looking at everything that happened from the beginning of it until whatever fallout ended. And so my question is, do you think it's unfair? I'm literally showing people the screenshots of Kenzie going to ChatGPT in order to draft up notes for you guys. So I just want to make clear, you're saying that it was traumatic for me to say that you two were involved, correct? That was an unfair characterization?
What are you trying to say, that she drafted up GPT comments based on what you said?
I realize, maybe we'll just continue. Thank you, Nicole. It's been a pleasure. Sarah, do you want to continue? Or I'm not sure where else it is you wanted to go with this. I'll mute up if you want.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to say is anyone kind of switching up because it's against Kenzie. It's really disappointing when you stand on a platform that wants to believe women. Even though it's hard because I struggled realizing that Kenzie was manipulating me, because she also is another woman that I'm not in a romantic relationship with. I think it was hard for me to realize. So I think anyone that wants to say that I set her up or I'm manipulative or I'm all these things, no, I'm just letting people know that Kenzie is not a safe space for women because I trusted her and she betrayed my trust. And she's not a fucking safe space. She came up here and she crashed out because she knew she was wrong. She can say whatever she wants to say from now on. I said my piece. I have receipts. I'd be happy to answer any questions. That's who Kenzie is.
Sarah and Mac, I do apologize. Mac, I'll bring you up, but I do we got still more to go, if that's okay. So Sarah, up to you. Would you like to take questions, or do we want to play that thing? Up to you. I don't mind, to be honest with you.
Wait, message me what you mean.
Sure. Let me grab it right now. 1 sec. I have to unblock you, actually. There we go.
Yeah, and also just to be very clear, I was not speaking or friendly with Irish up until very, very recently. So anyone that wants to say it's been this big conspiracy, fucking spare me.
Yeah. So what we were going to play was, because we suspected that Kenzie would do. In fact, does anyone want to update us on what's going on in Kenzie's live? Because I'm actually wondering, we may actually keep that. Now that I'm thinking about it, Sarah, I think we should keep that. Kind of curious to see where she goes. Sarah, is there? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I agree. That's all I need to say. Kenzie's a dangerous person. Everything she said about you, she quite literally did herself. And that's pretty much it. You can drop me.
No. I'm not going to drop you, for God's sake. So, look, guys, this is obviously confusing, surprising, and all those kind of things. I will happily go live on Saturday and Sunday to take any questions, but I can tell you what happened was gross. It was so gross. Kenzie took me criticizing her, because there's a longer story, and the longer story is Kenzie had been making incredibly unwanted sexual advances towards me that I was not interested in. Now, let me be clear. I don't think Kenzie's a sexual predator or any of that. Like, don't go around overstating or misstating or exaggerating. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying was they were unwanted sexual and romantic advances. That's it. And they did make me feel very uncomfortable. And they had escalated, especially over December and January, to a point where I'd reached out to multiple people saying, I don't really know how to handle it. And it continued through till March. And I think what happened was that I had been very good to Kenzie the week around my TikTok birthday, March 17th. And I had helped her with the Whatever podcast. I'd helped her prep for it. I'd helped her during the live. And we, again, I think grew a little bit close because of that, because I know that she was having a lot of stress related to it. And then I had like a TikTok live for like my birthday, and it took place on the 20th. And on that date, she read and then sent me a poem that had a lot of romantic and somewhat, intimate overtures. And it just made me feel awkward, and I ignored it. And it just so happened it was the very next day that this big fight happened. And what happened was what I have seen her do is that she has taken the fact that she hurt someone, and it wasn't like, let me be clear, like it wasn't like Sarah was crying. Like, I think that's fair, right, Sarah?
Oh, sorry. I was just reading that Kenzie's calling me a liar on her live. Even though she
Well,
just came up here and called me a great, reliable stand-up individual that speak for herself. But I mean, if it doesn't fit her narrative anymore, I understand. What was your question?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to minimize it, but like I'm pretty sure, like we've talked, that like what Kenzie said just irritated you and like hurt you a little bit. Like, it wasn't some horrible wound, right? Like, it was just, you didn't like it in the moment, and it was just like a couple of words that were not great, right? And like, all I'm trying to say is, like, this was said to Kenzie, and in her head, she's hearing it as though someone's crying in a corner or something. And she couldn't take the fact that she had done something that could have hurt someone. And it wasn't because she cared. She didn't give a rat's ass about the person, not for one moment. And don't get me wrong, there was only a couple of moments where she could have, because I only talked about Sarah at the very, very end of the call, and I barely mentioned her before she hung up like a toddler with a tantrum. And it was at the end of the call that I ended up bringing it up. Prior to that, I was trying to make her feel, like, you guys heard her. I was trying to make her have empathy for the fact that people were hurt by Harry, and she shouldn't be talking about things that could be hurting them. And she just argued and argued and argued. I'm not responsible for people's feelings. I'm not responsible for people's triggers. I'm not responsible for how it is people interpret me. That's not my job. They're too dumb to have understood what it is I'm saying. And if people want to ask questions to Sarah later, they can, like, because I haven't talked to her, so I don't know what happened, but like I saw it on the call. On the call, Kenzie's argument was, and I don't know why we're having an argument about people's feelings, but her argument was that because Sarah today was no longer feeling hurt, and because Kenzie had explained what Kenzie wanted to do, that somehow meant that what had been said previously is null and void. And I know that sounds astounding, but that literally was what she was arguing. And when Kenzie turned to Sarah, Kenzie asked, "Were you hurt on that day?" Sarah said yes. I genuinely thought the conversation was going to be over. And I thought Kenzie was going to say, "I'm sorry I hurt you." And instead, Kenzie tried to manipulate Sarah on that call to basically say, "But how do you feel today?" As if that had any relevance to what I had told her on March 21st. And I don't know if it's specific to me. I don't know if it's a general problem that she has, but she could not be wrong. She could not be corrected. She could not for a moment realize that something she had said was incorrect. It wasn't that she was like, "Oh my God, I hurt someone. I'm so sorry." That person has no heart whatsoever. Kenzie doesn't care about anything other than themselves. She doesn't give a flying fuck about anyone. And so she didn't care. When she ended that call in a temper tantrum cursing at me, she ended the call and then she wrote, "Please tell that person I'm sorry." And the moment she wrote that, I was like, "What are you talking about, bro? You just spent 45 minutes saying that if anyone was hurt, they're just like, they're too sensitive, that they don't understand what I was trying to say. They didn't understand where I was going with it." And I was like, "I'm not sending that apology. You don't mean that apology." And I was trying to assert a boundary because I was tired of being a lapdog. I was tired of doing things because you don't want to piss Kenzie off. On the topic of not wanting to piss Kenzie off, I do also want to say to all the women who were too scared to say anything with regard to Kenzie, do not for a moment feel bad about it. Because Kenzie has shown that in order to protect her ego over a stupid incident, she had no problem tokenizing and hurting Sarah. She had no problem terrorizing Mac. She had no problem dragging down Quacky. She had no problem denigrating the names of all these people in the server, and had no problem making fun of them, had no problem turning her entire server against them, had no problem having her rabid dogs cursing, calling them names, calling them just derogatory words, humiliating terms. Kenzie did all of that because she couldn't turn to Sarah and say, "I'm so sorry I did that to you." Just like she couldn't say to the 4 women who were hurt by Harry when they said, "Could you not do that?" It's not even that she said no. She didn't even say, "I'm so sorry for not even asking you." She had to throw Sarah under the bus so that she didn't even have to say sorry to them. So I just wanted to contextualize that, like, this story seems insane because it is literally insane. There is absolutely no reason we have to be here right now other than the fact that Kenzie simply couldn't take the fact that someone was a little upset by what she said. And that's all it was. And all of this has come from that, which is why I assumed it was due to the fact that I was turning down her sexual advances and that's what triggered her in that way. That me criticizing her, I don't know if she felt like maybe I was talking down to her because I'm a guy and she was like, "Who's a guy to tell me this thing?" But it certainly felt like it must have been connected because this response to that call is ludicrous. Someone just kicked Lore. Lore has just been permanently unable to, I don't know, think since I've encountered them on TikTok. They're just going to constantly be just a horrible, deplorable person. Okay, bye-bye, Lore. You can have a fun time with Kenzie. You will get what you deserve. Is there, Sarah, do you have, we don't have to do anything more. if there's anything else you want to talk about, I'm trying to think if there's anything you told me you wanted to talk about.
I mean, I do just want to clarify. I just got a screen recording of her live. She was trying to say that she said ew in regards to me getting ready for work because she was saying ew in general for work. I literally have a message with her that says you can't say ew, and I say because you do sex work. So, I mean, if she wants to claim that it's because I was getting ready for my 9 to 5, I don't really know what to tell her about that.
With her live right now, would you prefer to end the call, which I'm happy to do, or would you prefer to I don't know, I could try to figure out how to stream the call in here, or do you want to go into her call, or do we just end the live and just call it a night?
I mean, she's not going to let me up.
No, she's too much of a coward.
Yeah, if you want to stream it in here, I'd be happy to hear what she has to say, so I can clear things up real quick.
Does anyone have the technological know-how of how to know how to stream? Basically, you'd have to do, you know what? Actually, hang on. I think I could do this. I just kicked Nicole because Nicole is just problematic at this point. Yeah, let me see. If there's anyone who's in the server who's able to do a general stream, which would be simply putting on your phone on TikTok and allowing us to do share screen, you'd have to turn off all your notifications. But if we're just going to be streaming, you guys may get bored and you may just want to go away, in which case, let me say this. Today's Thursday. On Saturday at 4 p.m., maybe, we are going to pick this up again, at which point we're going to hear from the people who are on that call, because we're going to let Kenzie crash out, which is what she does best when she doesn't get what she wants. And we'll let her make all of her statements. And once she's made all of her statements, we are going to have a call here in the server, likely on Saturday at 4 p.m., but TBD, where we'll have all the people who are on the call who Kenzie is saying are crazy. And we will also have people to, or not people, screenshots to talk about the, let me word this correctly, how Kenzie's sexual advances were making me feel. And we will also be talking about and really diagnosing all of the things that Kenzie did that perpetrated rape culture in response to someone literally just saying, like, it's making me feel awkward that you're sending nudes after I told you not to. That's how she would crash out. That's just crazy. So
Yeah,
we'll be doing all of that. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, the last thing I want to say is anyone saying like it was scripted and it was also I wrote down notes of what I wanted to say, of course. I have a hard